It's incredibly hard. One moment you're in with a chance, and the next minute you're on holiday with your family watching the games on television, and it's a very hard thing to take. But you have to get over it quickly, otherwise it's going to affect your season the following year. So you just hope your team do well. You wish them all the best. You say, Gaffer, crack on, do what you got to do, and bring it home for us.
And indeed, Matt, I know you went to the World Cup in South Africa in 2010, but indeed you were on the provisional list for the Euros for Portugal 2004.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also remember the kind of boot camp we went through for the South Africa World Cup, and the not knowing if you're on the plane and all that. So to have the squad known before this game, I actually think is a far better solution. Now you can just focus on doing what you really want to do, which is win the tournament.
Well, for what we thought was going to be a final audition now becomes a dress rehearsal after yesterday's unexpected squad announcement, and we are underway with England all in white, playing from left to right as the ball is cleared away early by Gretarsson at the heart of that Icelandic defence. And if ever there was a reminder just to not get too carried away, the words Iceland and the Euros will still send a shudder through most Englishmen when you think back to Nice on the 27th of June 2016. It's etched in the memory.
Unbelievable, wasn't it? I just can remember it like it was yesterday, unfortunately. Really disappointing result, but they're a resilient team, and there's still some players from that time. There's certainly two centre-backs, very solid. They're going to have to really work hard to get them out of position. Anything kind of deliveries into the box, they do defend the box really well.
Now Thorsteinsson has just gone and caught John Stones with a heavy challenge, and all of a sudden here Gareth Southgate will be watching on extremely anxiously because Stones has stayed down. Meanwhile, let's get an update from the tennis with Russell Fuller.
A set apiece in the second semi-final, Ian. Alex Zverev winning the second set 6-2 after Casper Ruud of Norway took the first 6-2. Winner to play Carlos Alcaraz in Sunday's final.
We've got an opportunity. Thank you, Russell. He's back on his feet, at least, is John Stones. Well, that was a concerning moment in the opening 90 seconds.
I tried to gauge it from the replay, whether or not he just kind of either stood on his foot heavily or he rolled. Looked like an ankle to me. His first reaction was to go for the ankle. He appears to be okay, but you just can't have those moments every time a player goes. Certainly Stones, you know what I mean, in that role, in that the centre-back situation. England really do need him fit and available.
Good to see him back on his feet now, Dion.
Yeah, I think he just twisted his right ankle.
Here is Palmer. The ball spread out to him by Harry Kane from a deep position. The captain runs forward. Declan Rice to Mainu. Mainu passes it to Stones on the halfway line, right at the centre circle. England play from left to right as we look. So I think 7 of this 11 will play in the opening game. You can throw Pickford to replace Ramsdale, Bellingham and Saka if fit to come in, and still one place in that midfield. There's the cross from Palmer. Harry Kane looks for an opportunity, tried to shoot right-footed, cleared away by Iceland. Cries of shoot for Declan Rice, but it was never really set for him. He plays it out towards Stones. England are on the front foot though here early at Wembley Stadium, live on BBC Radio 5 Live. And just think, this time next week, the Euros will be underway for that opening game. Cannot wait for the excitement. Germany against Scotland live in Munich. Mark Chapman will be inside the stadium from 6:30. But all the build-up next week on BBC Radio 5 Live. And don't forget, wherever you go, BBC Sounds, you can go with us as the ball is tidied up at the back all the way to Ramsdale.
I'm really liking the start of Cole Palmer. I mean, he appears to have a licence just to pop up anywhere. It's twice over the far side of the pitch. He's in the right side position of the front three, but I actually think he's been told go anywhere, which is music to his ears, really. I mean, you see him with Chelsea, giving him a free role. He's so intelligent where he picks up his positions, and he's lovely running off the ball just to get in those wide situations. He started really brightly.
Trippier forward on that far side. Gordon had stayed out wide, actually. He actually turns around to apologise to his Newcastle teammate. Walker, right corner of the area. Palmer. There is a nice fluency, though, about England. A lot of movement as well for Iceland, who are going to have to really do well to try and contain England. Palmer picks it up now, runs forward, edge of the area, lays it off towards Walker on this near side, the right. Mainu now takes over right corner of the area. plays the ball to the edge of the box for Foden, in towards Palmer. But there are so many people who are looking to interchange the options.
Yeah, I think Matt is absolutely spot on. I was looking to try and find Cole Palmer. Where are you? And he's alongside Anthony Gordon on the left-hand side, just playing a little 1-2 in around the corner. I think you're right, Matty. I think he's been told to listen to your starting positions on the right, but if you want to go floating, we will fill that positioning that you leave.
I mean, it would be interesting as to whether he's been told that, or it's just what he does, Dion, because he does it so and it's so effective. It'd be, whether or not they're just aware of that and that's his style as a player. Certainly out of possession, you have to fill that hole, don't you, and take your defensive responsibility. But he just his form for Chelsea, Deno, he's a tough player to leave out of any team at the moment.
It is, yeah. The options that Gareth Southgate has. It
makes me wonder whether Bellingham might just sit a little bit further back to allow him into that central position, or for Foden and him in the team.
The ball was hooked forward there from midfield. They were looking for the run of Thorsteinsson, but Kyle Walker was extremely alert and just took the ball back, and Aaron Ramsdale, in his luminous orange goalkeeping outfit, put the ball out of play for a throw. How's it started Scotland-Finland? Ailey Barber.
It's here, Ian, but Scotland enjoying a lot of possession at the moment. They just haven't quite been able to get the ball to Lawrence Shankland in those dangerous areas, but it is opening up a little for them in the final third. Still Scotland 0, Finland 0.
Thanks, Ailey. The Monday Night Club on Monday. Then on Tuesday on 5 Live Sport, we've got a focus on Scotland's Euro campaign. On the Wednesday night, we'll focus on England. And then live in Germany on Thursday night, there will be a Euro preview on the eve of what is the 17th edition of the European Championship. And we'll bring you the best possible coverage here on BBC Radio 5 Live and BBC Sounds. Mainu, Foden looking to turn, spreading the ball out towards that far side, and Trippier has made good ground on that left-hand side. Gordon waits in the penalty area. Ball played back. Declan Rice goes square. Foden, cries of shoot for Foden. Dinks it back out towards Trippier on the stretch. Couldn't take the ball in with his left boot, and it runs out of play for a throw.
How sharp was that turn from Phil Foden? Wrapped into him, really good play. Harry Kane was deep. He has his first touch, cuts back inside. He hits a lovely diagonal ball with his left foot right over the top for Trippier. Super shuffle of the feet, and then just finds him with a brilliant pass. It's going to need to be like that then if they're going to break this team down. Don't you think they're going to have to move the ball quickly and sometimes be a bit more direct, over the top, in behind when they can?
Yeah, you would expect the Iceland team to be quite dogged in their approach tonight as the ball goes back and runs through to Valdemarsson, who Brentford signed from Elfsborg in January. Played the last 6 internationals now as he looks to try and establish himself. Only his 10th cap though for his country, as Trippier with a cushion header to Gahey. Only the second time, incidentally, that he and John Stones have played together at the heart of the England defence. The first time they were paired together was at Molineux. John Stones was sent off and England lost 4-0 to Hungary. But Mark Gahey, who's the absence of Harry Maguire, had he not had that knee injury as well, he would have really forced staked his claim a lot earlier in the season. Crystal Palace defender alongside Stones, but with Walker and Trippier as the fullbacks here tonight on a very pleasant evening, as Walker finds the Crystal Palace defender. Forward ball then early towards Mainu. He had Goodmanson behind him, and it's gone back to the Crystal Palace defender. Incidentally, England have not lost their final match before any of the last 20 major tournaments, as Walker on the right hand side cuts the ball back, right corner of the area. Palmer twisting, turning, left-footed ball short inside. Foden, good footwork by Foden. They've got a lot of white shirts in the Iceland half as Iceland retreat to the edge of the area. Short diagonal ball up towards Palmer, reaches Harry Kane. The angle is tight. Kane will win a corner though off the legs of Ingerson.
It's incredibly tight, isn't it? On the edge of their 18-yard box, on Iceland's 18-yard box. It's just so hard to find that pass. England a couple of times speed it up and get a little bit of space, but we're not actually putting the balls in the box. Whether or not that's just not how we're going to play, we're not going to deliver it in and make Iceland defend crosses. It just appears like we're going to have to try and find that perfect pass to unpick the defence.
Foden to take the corner kick on the England right. It's left-footed. It's curling, and it's claimed by the goalkeeper. So those last 20 games before a major tournament, England have won 15 and drawn 5 since a 1-0 loss at Germany ahead of Euro 1968 when they finished third of the 4 teams. So, but could it be their time this time? Dion, Kieran Trippier the other day was saying we shouldn't be shy to say that.
Well, no, because listen, we've got an amazing squad. I mean, from what I've seen, they are showing so much confidence tonight with the ball at their feet. We've got players in this side tonight that are happy to try and gamble with something, take players on. Palmer's been outstanding, Gordon started well, Foden started well, and that little relationship between Rice and Mainu is looking incredible too.
Well, Iceland now have a chance on this near side with a left back, Finson, striking blonde hair. Ball played inside to Traustason, cleared by Gahey on the volley. Gordon, who hardly mentioned so far in these opening 10 minutes, still 0-0, but has got a chance to stretch his legs, and he's away over on that far side, the left. He's carried the ball now to the left corner of the area, goes past his man with ease, cuts the ball back, and then it's toe-ended away by Ingerson, who was an unused substitute against England 8 years ago, and it's an England throw.
That was a good turn of pace, wasn't it? Anthony Gordon showing that he can open his legs down that side and really take players on. Couldn't quite get the delivery with his left foot, didn't look that comfortable finding the cross at the end of it, but really good turn of pace.
An errant ball. Goodmanson now will pass the ball forward to Haraldsson, place it out to this near side, and Thorsteinsson can run forward here for Iceland. If you remember back to that night at Molineux, they were done on the counter-attack there, and that's where teams might have joy against England, where England are going to see a lot of the ball, you would think, but then they're going to look to strike England on the counter-attack, aren't they?
I think you're right, and certainly when they've had sustained possession, I think that's sometimes when you're at your most vulnerable in those situations, when you've been so comfortable and you've been sat in the opposition half for so long, and then bang, certainly against a team like Iceland who will be direct when they get the ball there, they're more than happy to go long and really try and test that ability for England to switch from being comfortable straight into defending.
Haraldsson, the midfielder. Finson has stayed forward on this near side, the left. Now the left back has it, plays the ball forward. Haraldsson has actually continued that run over the halfway line and running at pace. Plays the ball out to Thorsteinsson, coming forward now, cuts in onto his right foot and shoots and scores. Fine goal by Iceland, and that's the sort of threat that we were talking about, and it's just been demonstrated. And Thorsteinsson, with a low right-footed effort, beat Ramsdale inside his near post, and that's not gone. They're playing the role of the party poopers here. It's England 0, Iceland 1.
Well, England really exposed in that moment. Super football from Iceland. Not giving them enough credit in saying they're going to go long and maybe be a bit more direct. This is just lovely football. It's a great ball from the left back into midfield, who sees the run, but the space is too big. He gets fed wide, and there's a one-on-one, and he cuts inside. John Stones, I think it is, on that side. He doesn't quite adjust or keep him outside of the pitch. He comes inside, and when he does, he then drags his shot into the near post. Thorsteinsson past the right hand of Ramsdale in goal. It's a lovely finish. Super move all round, actually.
Yeah, I agree. I think John Stones will look back at that and he won't be happy with his defending.
Be disappointed with
that.
Yeah,
he will be, because Thorsteinsson actually receives the ball about 5 yards outside the box, left-hand side, and John's got to keep him outside, keep him on his left foot, allows him inside, strikes it in the near post. Really good finish, but it was avoidable.
Well, we were right behind it. I actually thought he was going to try and curl it into the far side, but he did it. Instead, he wrapped it right-footed, and it was inside the left-hand post.
Clever finish. I really feel like, because I'm with you, Dan, we're sitting right in line with that far post, and 9 times out of 10 they're going to go for that far post, but he drags it perfectly into the near post, made it really hard for Ramsdale to get down.
Well, now Thorsteinsson has released Traustason on that far side, and he delivers the cross, and Iceland there were looking for a second goal. Walker will keep the ball in play on this near side. Well, that's just pierced the enthusiasm and the excitement inside Wembley Stadium as England trail by a 1-0. Harry Kane with a sharp turn, and now he passes the ball out towards Gordon, and England now can counter-attack, and Gordon to the edge of the area, cuts inside, and Gordon's shot is ballooned off target and out for a goal kick. So England are behind here by a 0-0. What's the latest? Scotland-Finland, Ailey Barber.
Still goalless, but a bit of a scare for Scotland. All came from a really poor kick out from Angus Gunn, and Scotland were wide open. Pojampalo looked certain to try and get the shot away. It was brilliantly read and then blocked by Kieran Tierney, and then in the follow-up a Pookie header was held by Gunn and the danger was over. But that is a scare for Scotland, and Steve Clarke will be concerned about how open Scotland were there. But it has been them on the attack for the majority of this half as John McGinn just scoops one over the top of the crossbar. But still Scotland 0, Finland 0.
England trailing by a 0-0. Gordon fouled on that far side. The Italian referee, David Massa, who won't be one of the 18 that will be on duty at the forthcoming Euros. Instead, you've got Daniel Orsato and Marco Guida, who will be representing Italy.
Do you know this referee?
No, I don't.
You're not in touch with him?
No, I'm not in touch with this one, no.
It's a little tactic you like, isn't it? Just get to know the officials and any inside track.
It's important to try and get to know people in the football industry.
Absolutely.
Goodmanson tries to release Bjarkason on the far side, tied it up by Trippier. Thorsteinsson's goal, incidentally, it's his first in 2 years for his country. He plays his football in Belgium. As Gordon sent away on that far side. This all of a sudden is turning into a good test for England. Trailing, Gordon left-hand side, stands over the cross. It goes over the head of Palmer and Foden. Kane wasn't inside the penalty area, and it will be brought away by the goalscorer Thorsteinsson.
I do agree with you there, though, Deno, in the sense that obviously you don't want to go a goal behind, but this is now actually really interesting for Gareth Southgate to go, well, hold on, OK, then they're going to sit deep, they've got a goal lead, how are we going to break this down? What are we going to do as a group? It's going to be interesting to see England's reaction. It's been good so far for me. They're looking to move it a bit quicker. And I love to see Harry Kane dropping deep. Look at the runners and the options that he has now when he drops deep. He's one of the best passers you see with the ball at his feet. His accuracy, his weight of pass. So trying to stretch and move Iceland about for me is the key and create those spaces for the players to run into.
The voice of Matt Upson as Gareth Southgate watches on the technical area, and good pressing, and Palmer shoots, and in the end, as he hit it right-footed, it took a deflection and to take the ball behind, but that all came because of the England pressing on the goalkeeper, and Valdemarsson was caught a little bit like a rabbit in the headlights, and they almost got an equaliser as a result. It was Declan Rice doing the pressing, his clearance straight towards Palmer, and it came away off the legs of Greteson.
Yeah, I actually think Harry Kane started the press, and then once you get one trigger, everybody else went in behind the captain.
Phil Foden with a corner kick, right-hand side, it's an in-swinger. Headed out at the crowded penalty area by the Icelandic defence. Foden to swing it over, left-footed, and it arcs its way too deep and out for a goal kick. Matt says that England have responded well since going behind.
No, I would agree. I think they've done okay tonight. They've just been caught with a bit of a sucker punch and a little bit of bad defending from Stones as well, like I've said, but I do believe that they're looking positive. They're trying to play good football in the middle of the park. I think Cole Palmer's got to try and stay on this right-hand side a little bit more. Don't want to stifle his natural game, but if we've got that on the right-hand side, we've got a bit of a better shape in possession.
Dion Dublin and Matt Upson here on BBC Radio 5 Live as Thorsteinsson plays the ball back.
It just makes me wonder, Deno, whether Stones is really that comfortable. You know, I'm just watching him move, and Dion's just alluded to the goal. He didn't really move his feet that well, Dion, did he? Didn't adjust his body comfortably, did he?
You expect him to do...
Yeah.
You expect him to quash that no problem at all, because he's that good.
Yeah.
Thing is, at the minute, is that Kyle Walker was almost in an inverted role there. So Thorsteinsson is staying out wide on this left-hand side, and Stones is being dragged across to cover Thorsteinsson.
Yep, he's spending a lot of time near this right-hand side touchline, because it was almost initially I thought it was Walker defending that situation, but it was Stones, and I think he's finding himself in that position a lot.
Harry Kane midway through the Iceland half, still trailing England here at Wembley on BBC Radio 5 Live, 18 and a half minutes played. Trippier over the halfway line, far side the left, short forward ball. Foden gives it back to the Newcastle defender. Now Gahey left of the centre circle. Maynard will give it back to Gahey. Iceland all in blue, just dropped off. Walker again in that inverted role, just outside the centre circle, almost trying to overcrowd the midfield there as Stones rolls it to Gahey. Forward ball, Foden on the turn. And Gordon had set off, then changed his mind, checked back, but Foden had passed the ball forward, and as a result the move breaks down and it goes out for a goal kick.
Yeah, just trying to force that a little bit into the channel. Anthony Gordon pulling wide, wanting his heels on the touchline. Gareth just signalling to his players to calm down and just be patient, move the ball, move Iceland out of position, but you've got to move it quickly against these teams. You can't be slow with those passes, even if it's just a simple sideways pass between the centre-backs. For me, it all has to have tempo if you really want to move that team all over the pitch.
It's the 95th game as well for Gareth Southgate that he has managed England. Takes him level with Sir Bobby Robson. So only Walter Winterbottom with 139 and Sir Ralph Ramsey with 113 games have actually managed England more. As here is Walker, hooks the ball forward, headed away by Gretarsson, one of the central defenders for Iceland. Gareth Southgate will hope that he can break the century mark in Germany. Of course, that opening game against Serbia on the 16th in Gelsenkirchen. You'll hear it here on BBC Radio 5 Live. As Gahey passes the ball out towards Gordon on the left. Rice now takes over. Rice to the edge of the area. Mainu plays it quickly to his left. Gordon, very congested at the moment there for England, all in white, just trying to find a way through as a paper aeroplane just soars and glides its way down in front of our eye line as England on that far side, the left. Mainu rolls it. Foden's made the run, hits it first time, couldn't cut it back, and in the end it was a diagonal ball that went straight towards the goalkeeper.
Yeah, it's just a little bit more patient from England, slightly getting under each other's feet there. Kobbie Mainu getting too close to Gordon and Trippier getting too close to Foden. If they could just take 1 and 2 touch, as Matty said, just keep it moving, move this Icelandic side all over the place, make sure they get out of their positions, and then you can go quick.
Gretarsson is with a switch of play, has tried to get, I think it was Traustason away on that far side, but in the end...
It was nearly in there, Dion. It was tight, wasn't it? I mean, Trippier kind of misread that a little bit. It bounced and it looked like he just wasn't going to have the pace to get back, and the ball just skipped wide. But it's another example of just a direct ball, long, diagonal, over the top. Good quality pass, but yeah, England just getting caught in that sense.
As a former defender, how concerned are you about this English defence?
Is that to me? Is that to me or to me?
Well, centre back in his time.
I know.
Hey?
But I still have got you as the Golden Boot winner of the Premier League, Dion.
As he dropped in earlier.
Well, here is Kane, short to Mainu. Back towards Harry Kane. England's passing has just slowed down a fraction as the ball is then knocked out towards Trippier, heads it down towards Gordon with his back to goal. Rice now takes over, chips it over. Harry Kane on the stretch. You can maybe answer that question, and then John Murray, our correspondent, will take you through to half-time.
What was the question? I've forgotten.
It wasn't about Dion's defending. It was about how concerned are you with the English defence?
I think the main concern for me is fitness of Stones and Trippier in terms of the ability to get about the pitch sharply enough and deal with really pacey players. And I think a couple of times this game we've already seen where that is put under pressure, Dion, and whether or not they're going to get to the place where they're comfortable, because they're going to be exposed at times, and sometimes it's just a physical matchup, isn't it? And you've got to deal with it.
Yeah, it's the hardest thing. It's the hardest thing to do when you're a defender, is to go backwards. You've got a slight injury, or you're carrying something, you're twisting, you're turning, you're not quite sure, shall I try it, shall I not? Am I sharp enough? Stones wasn't on that occasion, and Trippier almost wasn't just 2 seconds ago as well.
Yeah.
So that is Dion Dublin, Matt Upson alongside me as well in the 5 Live commentary box here at Wembley on an overcast night in northwest London, and Iceland are beating England 1-0. Jon Dagur Thorsteinsson has become the first man to score for Iceland at Wembley Stadium, and this was not part of the script, and I have to say this England performance tonight in front of a very quiet crowd is rather rusty. That's how I would describe it. A lot of misplaced passes. Cole Palmer could easily have equalised. Here's a long ball over the top, and John Stones, who was beaten for the goal by Thorsteinsson, is able to head it back to Aaron Ramsdale. I mean, Aaron Ramsdale himself playing for the first time for 3 months. The Manchester United and Manchester City players in this team have not played since the Cup final. Declan Rice has not played for a couple of weeks. Harry Kane, his first start for a month because of the back problems that he's had. And England now in the almost all-white kit, playing from left to right as we look from our box with a glass window in front of us. Here is Cole Palmer on the right-hand side, playing on this flank today. But as Ian has been saying, you know, in a sort of floating role, plays it into the edge of the area where Gretterson is able to clear it out for a throw into England down the right. It was Gretterson who deflected the Cole Palmer shot wide when he had the opportunity shortly after the opening goal to make it 1-1. But 1-0 it is to Iceland. And Walker on the right-hand side. Kyle Walker just points down the line but plays it back infield to John Stones. Still Scotland 0, Finland 0. If you want to listen to that, by the way, the BBC Scotland commentary you'll be able to find on BBC Sounds. But 0-0 at Hampden as Scotland and England hope tonight that they're going to see themselves off to Germany with victories. But England have got work to do here. But as Ian was saying, you know, for the group matches, this could prove to be a good test, having gone a goal down when there are matches to come against Serbia and Denmark and Slovenia in the group stage. It's entirely possible England could find themselves in a similar sort of situation. Long way to go in the game. Well over an hour. Palmer. Here's Stones to Declan Rice, winning his 51st England cap tonight. Out to Anthony Gordon on the left-hand side, who's winning his 3rd cap. Gordon, fair-haired, missed the match on Monday at St James's Park because of injury, which will have been a great disappointment. I suspect he would have been in the team for that match had he been fit. He was certainly on the front of the programme, Matt, but he's on the left-hand side here. But again, you know, he does look a little rusty, to use that phrase again. Gordon. Back towards Foden, given a central role tonight. No Jude Bellingham yet for England. Rice then, long ball to the right-hand side. Walker takes it down, plays it back to John Stones. Rice is available, 10 yards away, comes back to John Stones, and then Stones with a pacey pass to Trippier, Kieran Trippier, who started both of these games. And now Kobbie Mainoo in the central area. Mainoo attacking the end where he scored what turned out to be the winning goal in the FA Cup final a couple of weeks ago. Mainoo puts his foot on the ball, passes it out to the left-hand side. Trippier then infield to John Stones, but Iceland are absolutely camped behind the ball, Matt.
Yes, comfortably as well though, John, because they're positionally, they haven't got that much distance to cover because the England players are pretty tightly bunched in there. It's going to take some intricate passing to break it down. I want to get Dion's take, because I know they're not going to cross it all the time, but do you not feel sometimes you can just mix it up and actually just swing one in there?
My thoughts,
test the centre back.
Exactly, because if you're playing in front of this back five, which it is when they're out of possession, they're happy. They can see everything. Just put it in there. And they've got to think about two things, not the ball in front of them all the time.
Absolutely.
Force them to defend.
And then you get the space. So then when you want to then have the intricate play, they're a little bit thinking, well, this cross would come in here, and they drop off a couple more yards, and it gives you that extra half a yard to get on the ball. Whereas at the moment, it's all really short, John, isn't it? Really kind of short, small, triangular passages of play that isn't really penetrating.
No, it's not got the paciness. We've got the Newcastle connection on the left-hand side with Trippier and Gordon. They're just in possession at the moment. In fact, it's Declan Rice who now brings it forward for England, up towards the edge of the penalty area. Right-footed ball, chested down by Palmer, moves infield, left-footed ball, flicked in! And then Kane with a chance at the back post. Underneath it, whether the offside flag would have gone up or not, I'm not sure. I think it took a touch off a defender into the path of Kane, who lifted it over the top of the crossbar from inside the 6-yard box.
Yeah, I think you're right, John. There may have been a small glancing touch, or just the movement of the defender right in front of Harry Kane just puts him off. I think he's onside when that gets delivered. I don't think there was a touch. There was just a foot went up in the air as Palmer crosses it, left foot, in-swinging cross, and you would expect Harry Kane to time that better. He really just mistimed it, was a little bit ahead of the ball and didn't get the contact and kind of just flicked it over the crossbar. Brilliant chance.
Dion, for Harry Kane, that's a glaring miss.
I mean, he's 4 yards out, John. I'm expecting him to score that. It's on the volley, it's on his right foot. I mean, if there's one player I could pick in whole of world football on the end of that, absolutely. I would want Harry Kane.
You'd be a close second, Dion.
Thank you very much. I'll take second.
With that golden boot. Just to drop that in again.
England 0, Iceland 1. And England have wasted 2 chances now. 2 good opportunities to draw level with the team that is ranked 72 in the world. There are similarities between the opposition tonight and Bosnia and Herzegovina on Monday, in that they're round about the same place in the world rankings. The Bosnian team was 74th, Iceland 72nd, and both of them missed out on the Euros through the same route through the playoffs. It was Ukraine who knocked out both of them, and Ukraine will be involved in the tournament. So it is Iceland in possession, who go back to goalkeeper Valdimarsson. So let's make another trip back to Glasgow and Ailey Barber,
where it is still Scotland 0, Finland 0. Scotland still enjoying a lot of the ball, playing some lovely stuff, but are yet to test the Finnish goalkeeper, and that will be a frustration for Steve Clarke and for the supporters inside Hampden Park, who have gone a little bit quiet during this opening 45, but it's still goalless here.
Yes, I don't know whether Ailey's got any paper aeroplanes at Hampden Park, but we've had a number of them during the first half hour of this match. And as I say, despite the fact we've got something like 85,000 people in Wembley, it is very quiet. Here's Palmer on the right hand side. Palmer back to the halfway line to John Stones, and again it's sort of Stones at right back and Walker to his left, and then Walker's long pass, Gordon can't bring that down, got a touch, and in any case he was in an offside position, so it's a free kick to Iceland, who continue to lead 1-0. Matt Upson.
Yeah, I think Cole Palmer for me has been the brightest player along that line in terms of his body language, movement to get on the ball. He's looking to try and really make something happen, do something a little bit different. I think I can say that he's had a pretty good first half up to now.
Well, if this is not too different from the team that'll start against Serbia in 9 days' time, this would suggest to me that there's a lot of work needing to be done by England. I know the feeling. I've got a lot of work to do myself before the Euros. Long ball from the back from the goalkeeper, Valdimarsson.
Are you not on top of it then, John? I thought you'd be right on top of it.
Describe myself as being on top of it. Here's Walker on the halfway line. Walker bursting forward, looking for Mainu in field, but again just allows the ball to settle there, and Iceland have got back into position. They are very 4-5-1, the Iceland team, managed by the now 70-year-old Arga Haraida, the Norwegian, who older listeners will remember from his playing days at Manchester City and Norwich City. Here's Stones, just forward of the centre circle, pass through the middle. Mainu very congested in there, and it's like they are static, Iceland. They're saying to England, come on then, 1-0 down, you've got to find a way through around us. Mainu up towards the left-hand side, low ball into Foden. If there's anyone who can do that sort of thing, how many times you'll have had to do that with Manchester City, but he goes back to the halfway line.
There's three players around him though, John, isn't he? He receives the ball. I mean, one or two will find a bit of space, but there's three players wrestling him when he receives that ball. I mean, if Phil Foden's not going to find a pass in that situation.
Yeah, it is tough. I'm just looking at the bench at the moment, John. I'm thinking, if Trent Alexander's on the pitch now, he's the one that I think is going to put the ball in behind, just to give that defence something to think about, because you do it without even thinking.
I'll tell you what they're looking for, Dion. They're looking for the kind of passes that we saw from Adam Wharton at St James's Park on Monday night. England with the ball in front of their own penalty area. Mark Gay, one of the four Crystal Palace players who are in the 26. Who would have expected that at the start of the year, that Crystal Palace would have more players in the England squad for the Euros than any other club? 12 different Premier League clubs represented in the 26, plus Real Madrid and Bayern Munich. And the Bayern Munich man is just moving out to the right-hand side. The ball's over on the left-hand side with Gordon. Gordon's passed to Palmer. Palmer cuts inside the defender, then takes him on again to the byline and wins the corner. Palmer having moved across to the left flank.
Palmer making it happen again, not content to just stay on this right-hand side and hope the ball comes to him. He's going looking, he's going searching for that ball all the time.
Yeah, and you know what as well, because he's on the left-hand side, he's left-footed, he's gone around the outside this time instead of coming inside from the right. I'd like to see Palmer and Gordon just have a switch. Yeah, a little switch for 5 minutes.
So it's Declan Rice who's going to take the free kick. Arsenal took a leaf out of the England book because of the way that Declan Rice takes the corners and set pieces for England. So here he is, left foot, left arm raised. Rice plays it in, and the goalkeeper comes, Valdimarsson, and gets a punch on that, but doesn't clear the penalty area. Trippier back to Rice, right-footed ball in, that's headed away firmly and powerfully towards the halfway line, and England will take up possession again. 1-0 Iceland lead. 5 Live and BBC Sounds live here at Wembley Stadium on a Friday night. This time next week, if you switch on 5 Live, it'll be Alistair Bruce Ball and Chris Sutton commentating from Munich on Scotland's opening match against the Germans, as the ball is cleared away on the edge of the penalty area for Iceland and out from Gretarsson for a throw-in halfway inside the Iceland half.
I mean, he looks like he'll defend like that all day, Gretarsson, won't he? I mean, he's physical, he gets up against players, anything down in that channel, he'll just try and gobble it up. He's not afraid to stick one down the line or in the stand. He looks like a proper defender.
Yeah, they've had a few of those over the course of the last decade or so. Iceland, he had a brief spell at Blackpool, actually, Daniel Leo Gretarsson, and the man who scored the goal, Thorsteinsson, was a youngster at Fulham. So former London resident scores against England at Wembley. Here's Trippier just outside the penalty area. Mainu, then Trippier back towards Rice. Rice angles a lofted pass out to the right hand side. Stones pulls that down. Lovely little touch to take it away from Finson, the left back. Now Walker. This is slightly better from England. Rice upright, chest puffed out, plays it back to Walker. Now infield, Foden thought about the forward pass, goes square to Trippier, and then it goes further back to Mark Gay near the centre circle. Stones missed over half of Manchester City's matches this season in all competitions, John Stones, but so important for England as Walker plays it to Foden. Foden now trying to find a way through a congested edge of the area. Palmer back on the right. Palmer takes on Finson, beats him. Right-footed ball across the box, rattling down inside the penalty area, and Haraldson's able to take it down and clear it away left-footed. But England back in possession. Suddenly they've cranked up the pressure.
There's a lovely little chop from Cole Palmer. He just didn't quite get his head up to see Harry Kane. I think if he just fizzed that ball across the 6-yard box line, Kane was making that run in towards that near post. He tried to kind of pick someone out, but really just put it in that gap. I think Kane might have got there.
Absolutely. I think we're just trying to be a bit too clever.
Yeah.
We're trying to be too clever. I mean, there's a back five and 4 players in front of the back five, and we're trying to play through the middle. Just try and go around the outside of that defender, force them to defend. They're not having to defend at the moment.
There's not a lot of width on the pitch, though, is there? You know, I mean, a lot of the time, everyone's within the 18-yard box width. There's maybe Walker who's staying out on the right a little bit, but other than that, there's not too much in that sense for England.
Bukayo Saka is on the substitutes bench for England tonight, having had a bit of an injury, missed Arsenal's last match of the season, a groin problem, but has trained with England this week, so he's on the bench. As I say, no Jude Bellingham. He joins up tomorrow as Iceland go back all the way to the goalkeeper, the man in black, Valdimarsson. Right-footed clearance from him, yet to actually play for Brentford after his move in January, and John Stones at the other end plays it back to the Arsenal number 2, Aaron Ramsdale. Ramsdale passing it across the back line to Stones, who picks out Gay, and Gay's got space in front of him, so now brings it forward. Gay with a pass to Harry Kane, who's dropped inside his own half, and then Kane, a right-footed pass, classic Harry Kane, the high ball which Walker's able to control on the right-hand side, just down in front of us on our side of the field, and then back to Stones, his Manchester City teammate, on the halfway line. Here's Rice again, trying to slip the ball through for Gordon's run through the inside left position, but that was intercepted and cut out by Traustason, and Iceland are able to clear away to the halfway line again.
It's a really disciplined performance so far from Iceland. I mean, lovely move from Anthony Gordon, just dropped his shoulder, wanted it in behind. The pass wasn't quite right, but positionally the midfield players and the Iceland defence are really in good shape at the moment.
Kane with another long pass from a central area to Walker. Walker with the cross right across the penalty area, but that just bounces out of play harmlessly for a throw-in to Iceland, and it remains 1-0. Thorsteinsson, Jon Dagur Thorsteinsson of Leuven, the Belgian side, scoring in the 12th minute on the breakaway, beat John Stones and hit a low shot that kind of wrong-footed Ramsdale. It beat him down to his right, and that's the only goal that we've seen so far, Dion.
Yeah, we've got... We shouldn't really be down a goal. We've had so much of the possession. We should be doing more with it. But at the moment, you've got our centre forward coming into midfield, playing the correct passes that are trying to get us forward in order to put him in on goal. But he seems to be too far and too deep at the moment for me, Harry Kane.
So the curse of Iceland is striking again. Although England have played Iceland a couple of times in the Nations League since that unforgettable night in Nice, and beat them 4-0 here actually, when both Declan Rice and Phil Foden scored their first goals for England. Foden scored 2 that night. Here's Stones. Foden, who's got a history with Iceland. Remember how Foden and Mason Greenwood were sent home from Reykjavik after the breaking of the COVID rules of that match back in 2020. That was after Foden's debut. Here's Stones. Midway inside the Iceland half. Mainu to his left. 6 minutes to go to half-time, and still England searching for the equaliser. Now Gordon receives it on the left-hand side. Newcastle's player of the season. Gordon's cross, right-footed. That's headed away on the edge of the box by Gretosson. And Gay just gets there alongside, shoulder to shoulder actually, with Andre Gudjonsson, and it's out of play for a throw-in to the visitors.
I mean, that was a little bit better for me, because Gordon creates the half a yard, and at least he gets some end product into the box. Okay, it gets cleared away by a header, but he takes someone on. I think we're really relying on Anthony Gordon and Cole Palmer when they get that ball wide to actually get past someone, create that half a yard of space, and then find the cross or the pass or the cutback for an opportunity to score. I think that's the way England are going at the moment, trying to work that ball into the wide area, just wide of the 18-yard box.
So it is still England 0, Iceland 1. Still Scotland 0, Finland 0. And Germany, Scotland's opponents this time next week, they're losing at home to Greece. Georgios Masouras has scored for Greece, so Julian Nagelsmann's team are 1-0 down in Mönchengladbach tonight. So things not going to plan there either, and they drew in the week as well against Ukraine, didn't they? 0-0, the Germans, on Monday night. Here's Gretosson, just in front of his penalty area. Gretosson here at Wembley Stadium, where the Challenge Cup finals will be played tomorrow. We'll have coverage of that during the course of tomorrow afternoon. Another packed weekend of sport. The Premiership Rugby Union final, commentary on that on 5 Live. The tennis finals from Paris. The semi-finals on Sports Extra right now. The Canadian Grand Prix on 5 Live this weekend as well. And also Australia-England tomorrow in the T20 is on from 6 o'clock tomorrow evening on Sports Extra. Don't miss that commentary through the night as well from the tournament. Here's Mainu, halfway inside his own half. Mainu just passing the ball over the halfway line. Now Foden, arms swirling, tried to find the pass through to Gordon, but again Iceland were able to cut it out, and it's passed away from the back by Gretosson, and then it's taken up by Haraldsson with his pass through the middle for Gudjonsson. Ramsdale comes out calmly to the edge of the penalty area and just passes it away to Kieran Trippier.
I mean, there's a pass on there somewhere, isn't it? There's a lot of space in between the England midfield and the defence when we go forward, and then there's that quick turnover and the break. I mean, it's nearly been exploited a couple of times, but I'm just quite impressed with Bjarkson at right back as well. I mean, a couple of times there he's tried to get slipped in, and his positioning is really good. He's not allowing that ball between him and his centre back. It's got to go outside him every time, and England can't filter that ball inside for the run of Gordon. It's just getting cut out.
And here he is, Bjarkason on the right-hand side, but back comes Anderson, Mikael Anderson, and Iceland go back to their goalkeeper. 2.5 minutes of the first half to go. England 0, Iceland 1. And once again, we're in a scenario whereby Gareth Southgate is going to have to pep things up at half-time. Long ball from the back by Gretosson, but that will drift out of play, and it's a throw into England halfway inside their own half.
There's a real hush around the stadium, isn't there? I mean, they've not really had too much to get off their seat about in this first 45.
So it's like an uncomfortable hush, isn't it?
Yeah.
They're not quite sure what they're seeing at the moment.
Won't be like this tomorrow when the rugby league team
No,
are
it
in
won't
town.
be. No, it
not
won't
much.
be.
As John Stones hits a long right-footed pass, but I think that's going to go over the top of Gordon's head. No, he's pulled it down out of the air. What a brilliant touch that was. Gordon to the byline. His cross is deflected wide off the defender, wide of the near post, and it's a corner, and it's high fives among the Iceland defence for the block by Bjarkason, and it's a corner to England.
Yeah, super touch. Anthony Gordon, full stretch. I mean, it looks like it's going out of play, and he just uses his right foot. Perfect touch to kill the ball down inside the touchline, but again Bjarkson, body shape, shows him the line, stops the cross coming in. Really good play from the Icelandic fullback.
Yeah, well played. Gordon though started and came on as a substitute in the 2 matches in March, so all 3 of his caps have been here at Wembley Stadium. Rice for England, curls it in, and the goalkeeper comes and catches it. Valdimarsson, well taken. Stretches high and catches
You
it.
sound surprised about the goalkeeper coming out and catching the ball, John.
It's a collector's item. And he's still got it in his hands. And waiting to clear, Harry Kane, who should have scored. Big chance for Harry Kane, who scored in his last 6 starts for England. As Iceland is given away by Walker. Here's Haraldsson out to the left-hand side to Thorsteinsson, the goal scorer. But England are able to recapture possession. John Stones plays it away, although they're in danger of losing it again on the edge of the box. Foden, though, with a nice touch to his former clubmate Palmer, although Palmer has lost it to Thorsteinsson, who takes it down into the full-back position. Thorsteinsson now making his way along the byline. Then the shot on the edge of the area is deflected wide. Traustason deflected wide. That was on target. He puts his hands on his face, Traustason. That could have been 2-0 Iceland. Corner.
Well, Mark Gahey does really well here, because this is a great chance. I mean, he's coming on to Traustason, perfect weight with his right foot, and I think it's on target. He looks to hit it towards that near post, and Gahey throws himself in front of it. Declan Rice just coming across the back of him as well, but England nearly caught out again.
1 minute of added time. Thorsteinsson takes the corner to the back post. That's headed across. Gordon's able to get ahead to it. It bounces away, and England bring it forward. And actually, there's a tug. There's a tug on the shirt of Mark Gay as he ran away with it. That's a blatant foul, and it's a yellow card as well for that. England were clearly away on the counter-attack, so that's the first booking of the match. And England have a free kick inside their own half, and it's Ingerson. He gets a yellow card on the occasion of his 50th cap.
I mean, they haven't had much of the ball, Iceland, but when they have had it, they've done something with purpose. You know, it was the goal scorer there that gets around the outside, finds that cut back. He's not having a lot of the ball, but when he's getting it, he's really being positive and aggressive with his decision making.
Mainu tries to play the ball through from the middle of the England half. We're into added time, 1 minute of added time. Palmer left-footed ball in, but that's cleared away, headed away by Gretarsson. I think that might be the last action of the first half. Yep, Davide Massa, the Italian referee, blows the whistle, and Iceland are winning. And you can hear the boos echoing around Wembley Stadium. This was supposed to be the big send-off after all of the decisions were made yesterday by Gareth Southgate and the bad news was broken. This was going to be the big cheerio for England, and it's not going to plan. Matt Upson.
Well, it's been flat, hasn't it? I think they've started relatively well, England, moving the ball okay, looking like they're going to create chances, but they just haven't mixed it up enough. For me, it's been a little bit one-paced, a little bit one-dimensional in terms of needing to find really perfect, intricate passes against the defence that's super well drilled, great distances, full-backs are in nice tucked-in position. There's not that much width on the pitch from England to really stretch Iceland, and we're not looking like a team that's got the answer to this puzzle at the moment of actually moving them around the pitch and creating space and opportunities to score. And I think that's probably one of the biggest things that they're going to touch on at half-time in the dressing room.
I think with the amount of possession, we've nearly had 70% possession in that first half, and we've got to do so much more with it. The football's good, it looks pretty, but you've got to do something at the end of that 2 and 3, 4, 5, 6 passes, and you've got to get a chance or something off of that possession. Nothing at the moment from England. A little bit flat, not good enough for me, John.
Nope. Palmer could have scored. Harry Kane should have scored. But it is John Dagua Thorsteinsson who's written his name into the history books of Icelandic football as the first man to score for Iceland against England at Wembley. And at half-time, it is England 0, Iceland 1.
John
and Aaron Paul is here with us in the commentary box. Aaron.
John, thank you so much. Flat at Wembley for England. How are Scotland getting on there, entertaining Finland to Hampden? Ellie Barber.
Yeah, a little flat here too, Aaron. The party Scotland were hoping to depart for Germany with hasn't quite got started yet in what has been a bit of an insipid first 45. Plenty of possession, some real neat and tidy play in the midfield, but nothing of note to test the Finnish goalkeeper, and a few pretty nervy moments at the back. The best chances have gone the way of the visitors. Tierney with an absolutely brilliant block and a couple of saves for Gunn to make as well. Shankland, he's struggled to get into the game in those dangerous areas, and there'll be concerns too at how open at times Scotland have been at the back. A lot to think about still for Steve Clarke. First of all, tonight, as he hopes to depart to Germany with a victory, but also in this big week ahead of that opener in Munich next Friday night. It's at half-time, Scotland 0, Finland 0.
And speaking of that opener in Munich, Germany are a goal behind.
Cheers.
to Greece. Germany 0, Greece 1 in Dortmund. We will have the entirety of that game. Scotland taking on Germany in the opener of Euro 2024 live on BBC Radio 5 Live next Friday. Mark Chapman here from 6:30. But at 8:34 now here on 5 Live, it's time for the latest BBC News with Carl Hartley.
The voice of the UK.
And the home of the Euros and the general election 2024.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Thanks, Aaron. The BBC's first election debate is underway. 7 political parties are taking part in it. Labour, the Conservatives, the Liberal Democrats, the SNP, the Greens, Plaid Cymru and Reform UK are all attending. Our political correspondent, Ione Wells, is there and she joins me now. We're not quite at the end of that debate, Ione, but what's been the main headline so far?
That's right, there is still about 45 minutes or so left actually of the debate, so the parties are still engaged in discussing issues at the moment, but there's been a couple of sort of big themes so far. At the start there was a bit of a discussion about support for veterans and the armed forces, and there was quite a lot of discussion as a result of that about Rishi Sunak's decision not to attend the full D-Day service and his apology that came off the back of that. There was quite a lot of criticism from all the opposition parties towards the Conservatives about that. Penny Mordaunt, though, who is speaking on behalf of the Conservatives, did say that he had apologised, but that it was completely wrong, his decision. There's also been some quite heated clashes over tax as well, with Labour and the Conservatives in particular sort of attacking each other on respective tax plans. Also had quite a lot of discussion about immigration, housing, public services, the NHS as well. So all the kind of key themes you might expect from an election debate have started to come up so far.
And would you say that there's been any clear winners or any surprises in the debate?
Well, I think that will be up for other viewers to decide, of course, who they feel has come up on top of this. But certainly at the moment, all the parties are kind of setting out their stall. As I say, the most heated clashes so far have been between the two biggest parties, Labour and the Conservatives, particularly when it comes to issues of tax. The Conservatives have repeated their accusation that Labour would put up taxes. Angela Rayner hit back at that, saying that that was a lie. This was obviously a big point of contention earlier this week as well. And I think that is an issue that the two main parties are going to continue to clash over. Nigel Farage, the new leader of Reform UK, has been particularly raising his party's policies on immigration, but also we've heard leaders from the SNP, Green Party, Liberal Democrats also setting out their stall on how they would reform the economy. But there is a lot of criticism from all this sort of, as I say, all the parties that have been in opposition during this Parliament about the state of the economy, the state of public services. That is sort of the major attack line that most of them have been levelling at Penny Mordaunt, who's here for the Conservative Party.
Ione, thank you very much for that. Well, those taking part in the debate will be hoping their comments are picked up online. Joe Toyman is a pollster and says that's how what happens on TV tonight will really cut through.
Since 2010, really the only debate that has made a lasting difference to the polls was the very first one in 2010. Part of the reason for that, at least, is that the way that politicians approach it has changed. Increasingly, it's not so much about the hour or 90 minutes that the candidates appear. It's about the clips they can take from that and disseminate through all different social media channels.
Well, Unite, Labour's biggest trade union backer, has refused to endorse the party's general election manifesto, saying it doesn't go far enough on protecting workers' rights and jobs in the oil and gas industry. There's now a question mark over whether Unite will fund the party at the general election. In 2019, Unite gave £3 million to Labour's campaign. Rishi Sunak has insisted the UK is the best place to be a veteran at a campaign event in Wiltshire. As you've been hearing, he's been criticised by politicians and veterans for leaving a D-Day commemoration event in Normandy earlier. The Prime Minister has apologised and said he made a mistake. In other news now, a CCTV image has been released appearing to show the missing BBC broadcaster Michael Mosley 20 minutes after he set off for a hike on the Greek island of Symi. Dr Mosley hasn't been seen since Wednesday afternoon. The image shows him in a village at the end of the coastal path he had been walking on. The island's mayor, Letaritis Papakalidoukas, says the discovery has changed the search.
We have eliminated the possibility he had an accident along the footpath, because there are people who saw him with an umbrella and a hat walking through town. But we've lost him from here onwards, because there are no more cameras.
The firm in charge of selling the Body Shop in the UK has given potential buyers until next Tuesday to make an offer. 1,500 jobs are at risk after the business fell into administration in February. And Germany has introduced checks on all its borders until the end of the Euros in mid-July. The measures are intended to keep out football fans intent on causing trouble, as well as Islamist terror cells.
He's been making headlines around the world since he was just a teenager.
When I saw him the first time play, I said, we have Pelé here.
From the suburbs of Paris to winning Ligue 1 with Monaco.
Returning to his boyhood club as the most expensive teenager of all time.
Paris Saint-Germain have signed Kylian Mbappe.
To winning the World Cup and becoming one of the biggest names in global sports.
Mbappe.
Kylian Mbappe.
This is Sporting Giants, Kylian Mbappe.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
This is 5 Live Sports with Aaron Paul.
On 5 Live. Listen on BBC Sounds.
Yeah, welcome back to Wembley, where England are a goal behind here at half-time. It's England 0, Iceland 1. In Scotland, it's Scotland 0, Finland 0. And just some interesting news from Dortmund. Germany 0, Greece 1 is the latest score in Dortmund. Of course, Germany taking on Scotland in the opener of Euro 2024 next Friday. We'll have it live here on 5 Live. But first, let's head to the tennis. Russell Fuller is watching the second men's semi-final at Roland Garros. Russell.
Which is going the way of Alexander Zverev, the 4th seed from Germany, who now leads by 2-1. He took the third set 6-4, having lost the first 6-2 to Norway's Casper Ruud, the runner-up for the last 2 years. And what seems to have changed since the first set is that Ruud has been struck low by a stomach bug. The doctor has been out to give him some pills. He looks very, very low on energy, and Zverev now leads this 4th set by 2 games to love and is in a very strong position to play Carlos Alcaraz in Sunday's final. If he do so, it will be the second Grand Slam final of the 27-year-old's career, and the first since he finished runner-up at the US Open in 2020.
Russell, thank you. Commentary continues over on 5 Sports Extra and BBC Sounds. Elsewhere, Katarina Johnson-Thompson has withdrawn from the heptathlon at the European Athletics Championships in Rome because of injury. Her coach Aston Moore says Johnson-Thompson felt a small niggle in her right leg and has pulled out in light of the proximity of the Olympic Games in Paris next month. At the T20 World Cup earlier on this evening, Canada beat Ireland by 12 runs. Another big shock after the USA beat Pakistan on Thursday. And there's a huge game for England tomorrow against Australia in Barbados. Henry Moran is in Bridgetown. He's with me now. Henry, motivation never an issue in games between these two sides, but that washout in England's opening game, does it bring this match in sort of like a sharper focus?
I think it does exactly that, and as you say, games between England and Australia, regardless of the location and the format, they always do have a little something extra on them. But England's washed out game against Scotland, they have less margin for error as they move through their group stage. Now, there is a very plausible scenario that even if they lost the game against Australia tomorrow, they can go on, beat Namibia and Oman and still qualify for the Super 8 stage. But the worry would be, having lost one game to the weather already, if they were to lose to Australia and then there was another game where they were to either lose the match or lose the game to the weather, then they really would be looking at an awkward position. And also, they're in the position now where if they lost tomorrow, they could at best finish on 5 points and will be looking at net run rate and that sort of thing. So, easiest way round it, beat Australia tomorrow.
And you've been speaking to Jofra Archer, who's loving being fit and being back on the island where he was born.
Yeah, I think the Jofra Archer story as part of this World Cup narrative is a really interesting one from England's point of view, because he does make them a different team. He's such a brilliant bowler and somebody they've missed so much, particularly when it comes to these global events where he can bowl across the overs and in so many different phases of the game. We spoke to him yesterday at one of his old cricket clubs, and he was in very relaxed mood, and he talked about just being pleased to be back on the field.
Obviously, they're watching games and stuff on TV, and you wish you were there, and you wish you could have a part to play. But, being given the opportunity to step away from the UK, do your rehab, and just get away from it was really refreshing, because I feel like the worst thing you can be is injured and mentally burnt out as well. So, I was really glad I got the opportunity to come back and rehab away from everything.
It looks like you're bowling as you ever have done. I mean, how does it feel like it's coming out?
No, it's fine. And honestly, even with the injury last time, it just comes on sudden. Sometimes you don't even know. So again, I'm just trying not to worry about it too much, and I'm gonna just trust that the procedures and stuff that I got will actually hold up.
What about your workload in the tournament? Has that been set out? Do you know how it's shaped up?
Yes and no. I feel like just the other day as well, I think our physio forgot that sometimes that my workloads have to be monitored, because I remember there was a training day, I think, I bowled, and then he had me down to bowl again. It was like the training was off, and he was like, oh yeah, I forgot. So sometimes you got to remember, although you might feel fine, sometimes you still got to remember that you still have to do your due diligence. You still have to take the precautions.
Commentary of England versus Australia is on 5 Sports Extra tomorrow afternoon from 5:45. Loads more sport coming your way on 5 Live on Saturday. We're on air from midday, and we'll have live commentary of the Rugby Premiership final at 3 o'clock. There'll be updates from the Challenge Cup final, which will start at 3:07 in tribute to Rob Burrow. We'll also have the start of the women's final and the French Open with full commentary on Sports Extra. The build-up to the Euros, though, continues here on BBC Radio 5 Live and BBC Sounds, and right now you can find a brand new podcast looking back at the debut tournament of one of England's greatest ever strikers, Wayne Rooney. Find out how he went from watching the Three Lions at the World Cup to playing for them at the European Championships. That is available now to listen to on BBC Sounds. Teams heading back out of the tunnel here at Wembley. It gives me great pleasure to hand you back to Ian Dennis.
Thank you, Aaron. Expecting changes from this England team, and indeed we're going to see Ezri Konsa, who's going to be coming on. So Ezri Konsa to replace John Stones. Matt Upson.
Yeah, interesting, isn't it? Is that the knock at the start of the game? Is he not feeling quite right, or was he always planned that John Stones was only going to play 45 minutes?
You did say he wasn't moving too well. I said the same. He just didn't seem as smooth.
Not that comfortable. So whether or not it was that knock, Dion, that has made the decision, we'll have to wait and see.
I did wonder whether we might see more attacking changes for England, because for all the possession that they had in that first half, Dion, they created very, very little.
Yeah, listen, passing it in midfield and it looks great, but you have to have an end product. I think we have to try and go around the outside at some stage. We've mentioned it several times, give that defence a little bit more to think about.
There is a faint shaft of sunlight for those who are in the top tier here at Wembley Stadium. Surprised to see the sun shining, because there's a big black cloud that is overshadowing England's send-off here to the Euros, because this certainly was not in the script to be losing to a team who are ranked 72nd in the world. And indeed, they had chances to increase their lead as well after Thor Steinsson's effort after 12 minutes. It was a well-taken goal, make no mistake, and they've defended resiliently since. But England are certainly going to have to create a lot more opportunities in the second half, because that was a grim first 45 minutes from an England point of view. So trailing by a 1-0. England now from right to left as we look, as Gordon sweeps over the cross, and there was brushed the head of Harry Kane, just tried to guide it with a deft little touch with his head, but it runs out for a goal kick. So a reminder of the two teams. England have Ramsdale in goal, a back four now of Walker, Konsa, Gahey and Trippier. His two starts, incidentally, Ezri Konsa, have both been at right back, although his first start did switch into the centre of defence against Belgium back in March. Mainu and Rice in midfield, and then Foden, Palmer and Gordon behind the captain Harry Kane, who I don't think will play much more than an hour. He was always going to start this game, but I don't think we'll see him play the full 90. For Iceland, who are all in blue, Valdemarsson is in goal, back four of Bjarkason, Gretarsson, Ingersson and Finnsson, Traustason, Gudmundsson, Haraldsson, Andersson, Thor Steinsson, and then leading the line, Andre Gudjohnsen, the son of Ida, as England with Gahey out to Gordon, tickles it down the line first time on this near side the left, and Foden's onto it, level with the penalty area. Gordon's gone on ahead of him. Back to Trippier. Interesting to see if Trippier can last the 90 minutes. He's yet to do that since his return from injury. Mainu, look towards Palmer central area, back to goal, prods it back, Konsa. England already camped inside the Iceland half. Rice, they've got to try and find a way past that blue line of the Icelandic defence as Walker. Palmer takes over, ball in, headed out at the back by Ingerson. England get it back again, Trippier. But it's a stubborn Icelandic opposition. Gordon on this near side, the left. Starts to work his way down this near left touchline. Trippier provides a little bit of support too. Here is the Newcastle defender. Gordon now infield to Mainu, able to turn midway through the Iceland half. Foden to Gordon, back towards Foden, hits it first time, left-footed, but it was always going away from goal. Out for a goal kick, England's trail 1-0.
Well, one of the first times that they've actually got behind Iceland. Really good movement, and it was simple, it was quick, it was one touch between Gordon and Foden. Foden then pulls back onto the edge of the 18-yard box. Gordon cuts it back on his left foot. It's a difficult one to hit because he's just coming up off the turf and he just pulls it a little bit wide with his left foot, Foden, but much better from England. It was sharper then though, it had a bit more tempo and it was less complicated. Just move the ball, 1 and 2 touch, movement off it, Gordon with the run, create something, you know what I mean? It's just a little bit more simple and more direct.
4 minutes into the second half, bit of encouragement, Dion Dublin.
Yeah, a little bit, and you know, when you do get into those areas, if you can find the pullback or find the ball in behind that defence, then you are going to create chances, and that's Gordon going on the outside this time, not coming inside on his right foot, going on the outside, pulling it back on his left, and creating something.
England, who've only had one defeat in their last 22 games at Wembley, and that was against Brazil back in March, still trailing by 1-0. Gahey out to Konsa, right of the centre circle, passes the ball out to Walker. The crowd at least are a little bit more alert in this second period. They were very, very flat atmosphere. To think that there's 85,000 people inside Wembley, you wouldn't know it in that first half, not really creating much of a noise at all.
I mean, already, Deno, England look like they're going to cross the ball more. A couple of times Walker just put that one in early there. Gordon's put one in. I think there's been another cross coming in from wide. They're actually getting positions looking to cross the ball.
And Walker's round the back here as well, and that hasn't been effectively dealt with by the Iceland defence. To the edge of the area, Mainu climbs, heads it to the path of Rice, flicks it forward, downward header though from Gretarsson, out of play, and now they can look to try and strike on the counter-attack, and it was a nice bit of defending by Gahey, because had he not cut that ball out, then Andre Gudjohnsen might have been clear as he ran through. Harry Kane drops deep, tries to carve the ball forward, and he finds Palmer. Palmer, the angle is tight, left-footed, hits the side netting, left-hand side of the goal, out for a goal kick. Still England trail.
Well, a lovely touch from Palmer, and it's that run from out to in that he just loves. He's not stayed wide at all in this game, which is fine because he picks up good positions, but Harry Kane dropping deep again, flicks the ball into him with the outside of his right boot. He has his first touch onto his left foot, always taking him away from the goal. It's hard to really get it on target because he's so narrow, Dion, with that angle.
He is, but it's our centre forward again playing that pass, which is you know, the dangerous pass. And I believe that if we can get Harry Kane in that centre forward position and we can still play those passes, and I do believe we will get the goal that we need to get back into this game. Better though from England in the second half.
You also feel that if Palmer's going to make that run inside all the time, Walker has to
go around the outside.
He's got to be advanced and high and wide all the time, just ready to stretch the pitch. And again, it can just be a little bit narrow if you haven't got that width.
Former England internationals Matt Upson and Dion Dublin with us here on BBC Radio 5 Live, and also live on BBC Sounds. Iceland still lead by 1-0. The right back Bjarkason down the line with a throw, and they get another throw, advances a few more yards down the touchline. Here is Bjarkason looking to link up there with Anderson. Anderson now is in pursuit, and the referee from Italy, David Massa, gives a free kick to England. Let's get an update then from Scotland. Ailey Barber.
Still goalless. Finland made a change of goalkeeper at half-time. Sinisalo from Aston Villa going in, and he was instantly called into action to dive down to his left to deny Billy Gilmore what really has been Scotland's most promising opening in this game. But as yet, it's pretty much as it was in the first half, a little bit flat, and Scotland still looking for to create some sort of opportunity. It is still goalless. Scotland 0, Finland 0.
A reminder, next Friday for the big kick-off for Euro 2024. Mark Chapman live inside the Allianz Arena in Munich from 6:30 to build up for that opening game of Germany against Scotland. But 8 minutes into the second half, England now forward with Rice, and it reaches Palmer, and Palmer looks to go around the goalkeeper. The keeper does very, very well though to force Palmer out wide. He was shuffling along the line, and on the ground there was Valdemarsen, and Palmer just couldn't get the shot away.
Well, I think he's made the wrong selection there for me. He's just got to take it early. I don't think he realises till late that the ball's coming to him, because it kind of finds its way through to him. He makes exactly the same run again. I mean, he's getting in that hole all the time, which is great. But he's got to have a touch and just hit it. He tries to go around the goalkeeper. He does really well, just kind of ushers him wide, but he's never going to get the time to get the shot off.
Corner taken quickly. They work it out to Trippier. England playing from right to left as we look, all in white, trailing by a goal to nil. Walker central area finds Foden. Foden looks up, left-footed ball. It's a deep one. Gordon won't keep that in play, and it runs out for a goal kick. You know, Dion, the other day when John was talking to Gareth Southgate after the game at St James's Park on Monday night, in fact we'll come back to that because there's been a goal now. Ailey Barber.
There has been a goal, and it is a goal for Scotland. It's not come in the most clinical of fashions from a Scotland point of view. Across from the left-hand side, Hoskinen, the Finnish central defender, stuck out a boot and directed it beyond his own goalkeeper, but it's lifted the place at Hampden. It is Scotland 1, Finland 0.
Thank you, Ailey. Basically, Gareth was saying to John that he thought that Cole Palmer the other night was trying to be too precise rather than to take it early.
Yeah, listen, the ball actually was on a diagonal. It was into Kane, and Kane sort of got pushed off the ball, and in behind was Cole Palmer. He had a great first touch. He has to finish first time. He has to finish first time. If you get half a chance, take it. Don't look for the full chance.
Valdemarsen chips it out to this near side, headed on by Bjarkason. Now Gordon. No, he's going to happy to let it run out of play, and it will be a England throw that Gordon infield to Foden. The lights of people's mobile phones are now being lit up around the top tier and elsewhere around Wembley Stadium, but there's not much to light up this England performance so far, as they still trail by a goal to nil. Ball cleared away, but at least they've created a couple of opportunities in this second period.
Yeah, I think that chance kind of like sums up the performance a little bit. It's a little bit over complex, and you know, if you do it early and simple, I think you have more joy and just being a little bit more ruthless and cutthroat in what that is.
Trippier, 6 yards over the halfway line. Gehi on the halfway line inside the centre circle. Finds Konsa. Walker waits, short ball to the feet of Palmer. Back to the Manchester City player. Every outfield player now is in the Iceland half, and Iceland have retreated. They're quite happy to get men behind the ball. But on not many occasions have England got round the back of Iceland, and Maynard now has been dispossessed midway through the Iceland half, and Haraldsson, who is involved in the goal, runs forward, then plays it back to Bjarkason. Good footwork. Haraldsson will help him out. England try and press to win it back. Gordon snapping at the heels of the right back, but it's brought away. Now played forward. Haraldsson over the halfway line on this near side. Rice is back there, and he's given away a free kick. Free kick to Iceland.
They're confident enough to play out a little bit there. A couple of tight situations, maybe a little bit fortunate. Bjarkason there kind of fell over the ball and it popped up and he got away with it, but they're a team that's shown a little bit of confidence when they need it to be able to play out and get some passes off. I've
been impressed tonight with the two centre-halves, Ingerson and Gretarsson. They've been absolutely outstanding. They've marshalled it. I can see their arms just pointing and, you know, out wide of their hips, just pointing as if to say this is the line, making sure that they don't break that five when they're out of possession. Really well organised defensively, Iceland.
Maybe an opportunity here as it was rifled forward by Gudjonsson. Hit it on the volley, teed up to him by the goal scorer Thorsteinsson with a chest off. And Andre Gudjonsson hit a right-footed volley that was straight out. Aaron Ramsdale, all in orange, in the goal for England away towards our right-hand side, as Rice has given the ball away cheaply. And now Haraldsson with a shot that is charged down and is going to run behind for a corner kick to Iceland.
They've been so direct in this game, Iceland. Almost the exact opposite of how England have played, and they've got their reward for it. And again, an opportunity, long ball, gets set back, volley, not even thinking about it. First time volley, I'm going to get a shot off on goal. That moment there, they win a corner, gets set in, Rice loses it, pops out. There's not like some intricate play, so I'm going to have a shot. I'm going to have a go at goal, bang, gets a deflection, win a corner. This has been the mindset of this Iceland team, and so far it's really worked well.
The captain, Johan Berg Gudmundsson, the Burnley midfielder, with a corner kick, near side the right, left-footed, headed out by Gehi. Ball played back inadvertently by Phil Foden into his own penalty area. England then get it away, and then it's the left-back, the blonde-haired left-back, Kolbeinn Finnsson, who tidies up back towards his goalkeeper. As there's been another goal at Scotland, Ailey Barber.
And now Hampden is beginning to roar. That is what they've been waiting for. A goal from Lawrence Shankland. It was a really good break down the right-hand side. The ball headed away, but only to Andy Robertson, and his ball into the box was perfectly weighted, and Shankland was there with the header to make it Scotland 2, Finland 0.
And Germany have equalised as well. Germany 1, Greece 1. Ahead of that opening game next Friday. Kai Havertz has got that goal 11 minutes into the second half. There is activity down below, so England are going to be making further substitutions. Konsa came on, of course, at half-time as Gordon delivers a cross, but that curls over the head of Harry Kane. And in the end, that's going to pose no problems whatsoever, Dion.
No, I think England have just played the right pass at the wrong time, and they're just not on the same page at the moment. I think what Iceland have done really well is they've missed the midfield out, they've gone long. If it's worked, they've kept it in there. If it hasn't worked, they've just retreated into a really stable shape, and England just can't break it down at the moment.
Bukayo Saka is one of the players who's going to be coming on. And Trent Alexander-Arnold is going to be another. So that'll be Mainu, I would imagine, coming off for Alexander-Arnold. Trippier rolls it in field. Konsa passes the ball out towards Walker. Palmer had made the run out to the right side of the penalty area. England, though, go back, trying to find a way through again. Trippier out to Gordon, 6 yards in off the left touchline. Left corner of the box now to Mainu, with his back to goal, able to turn, rolls it, teed up towards Rice, back towards Foden. Foden tries to wriggle away from a couple of challenges, and then it's the left back Finnsson who digs it out and clears the ball for Iceland.
There's no end product again. And it's so tight for Phil Foden there. I mean, he's receiving that ball. You just want to see somebody get half a yard and get a shot off. You're on the edge of the box, it can get a deflection, go in the opposite corner.
So frustrating to watch.
You're not going to play through that in that fashion. It's just too tight and too well organised, to be honest, for England to break it down.
I said that Harry Kane would struggle to see past the hour mark. We've just ticked past 60 minutes. But Ivan Toney is also getting stripped and ready for action, so we could. 5 more substitutions are allowed by Gareth Southgate, and we could actually see all 5 come on now for the last 29 minutes. Eza could be another one, as England call for reinforcements, because the big send-off is falling flat here on BBC Radio 5 Live, trailing by a goal to 0. Rice to Walker, right corner of the area. Ball is rolled out of play for a throw, and I think Joe Gomez is going to be another one. So you would imagine Joe Gomez for Trippier at left back, Alexander-Arnold, Tony Gomez and Saka. So that will be 4 substitutions. So it'll be Saka for Gordon, Tony for Kane, Gomez for Trippier and Alexander-Arnold for Walker. So Alexander-Arnold won't go into midfield, he'll go in at right back. That's the quartet of changes that Gareth Southgate is about to make.
I mean, which is probably where he could have his most impact, from that wide position with his delivery, Deno, to be honest, if he gets forward and starts to use that wonderful right foot of his.
Cleared by Valdemarson. Harry Kane was knocked to the floor on the edge of the area. It would mean that Gareth Southgate has got 1 more substitution to make, and incidentally Iceland are going to make a change as well, and it will be Mikael Andersson who's going to be coming off as England are attacking with Walker. Maynard with a layoff, Cole Palmer to Foden, challenge was a quick one, and then it's just knocked away there by Anderson, and out it will go for a throw. So I hope you two are prepared to talk for quite a while between yourselves. There's going to be 5 changes going to be coming on here, and Thordarson is going to be the Icelandic player. England, though, meanwhile, are still attacking. He's done well, actually, that right back, hasn't he?
They played well. They played really well, haven't they?
He's done really well, the right back. I mean, he's just read everything.
And all of a sudden, where is the England defence? Where is the England defence? This is a warning sign here. And then the ball is rolled out by Haraldsson, out towards the far side, and Thorsteinsson completely miskicks it. That really looks so ominous from an English point of view, because Iceland just broke clear and England were brutally exposed.
Oh, caught out again on the counter. Really well-timed run. Bends his run into that channel in behind Gehi. And as the ball comes across, I don't know about you, Dion, but are you gonna cross that there in that position? Would you not drive through and finish?
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad. I don't think it's a bad ball to play. He just plays it too heavy.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, glaring chance though. It should be 2-0.
So here come the substitutions. Thordarson is on for Iceland, as we talked about, as Harry Kane comes off to replace by Ivan Toney. Let's get an update from Hamden with Ailey Barber.
A couple of changes for Scotland as well, and it is a debut for Bristol City's Tommy Conway, who was called into the squad this week with the injury to Lyndon Dykes. He's got 12 goals for Bristol City this season. He is on the pitch, as is Greg Taylor. He's come on for captain Andy Robertson with his 2 assists tonight, and it is still Scotland who lead here by 2-0.
Thank you, Ailey. So Kieran Trippier's first back-to-back starts for his country since November 2022 comes to an end. Gomez once again, and Bukayo Saka coming on as well to replace Anthony Gordon, which is a real boost, because you know there had been fitness concerns ahead of the Arsenal for the Arsenal player after he missed the last game of the season against Everton.
No, I'm delighted to see him on the grass, if I'm honest. I think he brings something really special. Happy he's got on the pitch, and hopefully he's fit.
Tony goes down straight away. It was Gretterson who dived into the challenge, but the referee was up with play and says it's a corner kick instead. I've got to say, he's impressed, Ivan Toney. He seems to make, I know this is only his 3rd appearance, but he makes his presence felt.
Well, he's been really direct there. You know, he's chasing after a ball. It's like a real part of a football match. It's not fancy or anything. It's just, I'm going to get my body in where it needs to be.
In comes the corner kick, only partially cleared, edge of the area, played back by Gomez, repelled once again, and now there's a break on with Thordarson. Blonde-haired substitute running forward, holding on to the ball, waits for some support as well, continues to run forward on that far side to left, all in blue, playing from left to right, then plays the ball back, and then on the stretch there was Traustason, and in the end it was tidied up by Ingerson, and Iceland now have it as they still hold on to this 1-0 lead. What's the latest in the French Open? Russell Fuller.
Alex Zverev is in the final. He's won 2-6, 6-2, 6-4, 6-2 against Casper Ruud, but a sympathetic handshake for the Norwegian at the end because he was struggling with stomach issues and he was low on energy. Zverev in Alcaraz in Sunday's final, Ian.
Thank you. And before that, we've got the Women's French Open tennis final tomorrow, as Gudmundsson with a shot that is deflected behind for a corner kick. That's 5 Live Sport from midday tomorrow. A combination of the tennis and also live commentary of the English Premiership final between Northampton and Bath. And then, as Russell says, from Roland Garros on Sunday, that men's singles final, as well as the Canadian Grand Prix. And then next week we really do crank it up as far as the Euros coverage is concerned on BBC Radio 5 Live. But 66 minutes played here at Wembley, and Iceland are still leading by 1-0. Remember, 56 years since England last lost a game ahead of a major tournament, as the cross came in from that far side, and Ingerson's downward header was straight at Ramsdale.
Right,
they've had the better chances.
Oh, 100%. The last 2 chances, that one there is a golden chance. He just doesn't head the ball cleanly. If he gets contact, it's in the back of the net. I think it was maybe Gomez or Gehi, one of the 2 that just lost the run. Spins around the back post, really good delivery into that back post area, and Ramsdale very fortunate but the header wasn't clean and he was able just to get his body across that near post.
Here is Mainu, able to turn. He finds Gomez. Gomez out to Palmer on this near left touchline. Takes a deflection, loops up in the air, but Valdemarson easily just pats the ball down, Dion.
Yeah, I'm probably preferring this shape actually, because you've got Foden and Cole, Palmer now just sort of taking it in turns to play in that Tony role, but when one of those players comes out to the left, you've got a left footer on the left, and I do like that balance as well. Ivan Toney's just staying as a 9 as well, so the two centre-halves have got somebody to mark. He's not dropping in to playing a number 10 role himself, so those two centre-halves now are occupied and all the defenders have got a job to do now. Different game for me, second half.
Well, you talk about a balance. Only one station can provide that unique mix of politics and football. Who will rule the country? Who can conquer Europe? A combination of the election and the Euros on 5 Live in the coming weeks. But to take you through to full time here with England trailing by a goal to nil is our correspondent John Murray.
And England facing the possibility of losing at home to Iceland for the very first time in their last match before the tournament. Still 1-0 to Olga Haraida's team. And England, having made now the 5 changes so far, have possession, and the ball's played out by Konza. Here's Saka involved in the action for the first time, coming back from a little groin injury that he's had. Rice plays it over the top to Alexander-Arnold, whose ball across, Tony in the middle, but mishit the shot. As it came across to me, he had to adjust slightly, readjust slightly behind him, and he scooped it wide of the post and behind. So 1-0 Iceland lead here in London. Last we heard from Ailey Barber at Hampden, Scotland 2-0 up. Is that still the case?
It is still the case, John, but there's a little moment of history here for Craig Gordon, the 41-year-old, making his 75th appearance. He's come off the bench. Rumours are he will be one that will be cut from the Euros squad after this game tonight. But a lovely moment for him. 20 years after making his debut, he makes his 75th appearance. Only 5 other players have ever done that in a Scotland shirt. So a big moment here at Hampden, as Scotland still lead by 2-0.
Iceland coming forward again, dangerously once more. Shot from the edge of the area from Thor Steinsson, the goal scorer. That's blocked by a defender on the edge of the area who's been absolutely poleaxed by it. It's actually hit him on the side of the head, and so the referee has immediately called for the medical people to come onto the field. I think it's Mark Gay who was caught by it.
Yeah, I think it may have actually been Gomez that blocked the ball, and then Gomez's body went in to Gehi and collided with him. I mean, he's laying flat on his face, Mark Gehi, in the 18-yard box as he's standing by the ball. And you're right, John, it is the ball that cracks him right in the side of the temple almost and really shakes him up. Gareth Southgate looking on a little bit anxiously. Well, surely not another centre-back issue.
It's a head injury here. John Stones had to go off at half-time, we think. You know, he turned his ankle, Dion, early in the match. Stones, who would seem so important for England's chances, so we'll have to see how he is. I mean, they're the priorities, aren't they? Matches like this.
Absolutely.
Do not pick up the injuries.
No,
and now
you're right.
Gay's gone down.
Well, Gay now, that's what he does, and Matt mentioned it before the game kicked off. That's what he does. He defends. He doesn't mind putting his body on the line. It's possibly the only one that we have in that position at centre-half, that he'll just throw his body in front of the ball all the time. He catches a bad one this time on the side of the head. Wholeheartedly just dived into that challenge, making sure it doesn't go anywhere near his goal, and he seems to be, hopefully he's going to be moving. Yeah, I can see he's moving a little bit.
Yeah, but that's really caught him, you know. That's absolutely...
It has.
Poleaxed him.
It's more the assessment now of how he is, because obviously, as we know, with the concussion, it has to be right. You know, you can't cut corners with it, and the long-term effects of that can be... You know, a little bit of time, can't it?
Yeah, the protocol could come into play, and it's 9 days before England are due to play. And actually, Lewis Dunk is not involved tonight because he's got an injury. He'll start training again on Monday, Gareth Southgate said. So Jarell Quansah, who's not even in the 26, but has stayed with the squad, might actually end up making his debut here tonight. And really... I mean, this is going from bad to worse for England.
If he's been down this long, John, and not got up there, you know, you'd be up by now if it was just a bump on the head and you shook it off. He's been down a while.
Yeah, he has, still receiving treatment. Another goal at Hampden. Ailey Barber
And it is a goal for the visitors. Craig Gordon just on the pitch, and he's had to pick one out the back of his own net. Kalman, the forward for Finland, he's only been on the pitch about 2 minutes, and he's just headed in past Craig Gordon. There is a VAR check for a possible offside, but as things stand, it is Scotland 2, Finland 1. I will let you know what the update is on the VAR check.
OK, thanks, Ailey. You can listen to the BBC Scotland commentary on that match via BBC Sounds. Mark Gay has received a round of applause because he's been hauled to his feet, and they're still assessing him. Gareth Southgate and Steve Holland are side by side in the coaching area. They're waiting for information. Mark Gay breaks into a trot actually to run off the field on the far side. He's using his left arm to wipe his own brow, but they're still having a look at him over there, and England will be playing with 10 men after that shot from Thor Steinsson knocked him off his feet. And the Finland goal does stand, so it is Scotland 2, Finland 1 now in Scotland's send-off match. England losing here at Wembley. England who've lost just one of their last 22 matches at Wembley, but that was in March against Brazil. This is Iceland in June. And here's Thor Steinsson, the goal scorer on the right-hand side, who's challenged by Joe Gomez, one of the substitutes, and Mark Gay comes back onto the field. Just keep an eye on him, Matt, to see what you think. Is he looking okay? As Iceland break away forward again on the right-hand side. Thor Steinsson with the cross, deep towards the edge of the penalty area. Gudjonsson went for the acrobatic, but didn't make any clean contact. There were defenders there, and Iceland go back towards the halfway line. We've got just over 15 minutes to go. England 1-0 down. Thor Steinsson, that's good again. Thor Steinsson beats Gay. Right-footed ball across the box. That's deflected out towards the edge of the penalty area, where Haraldsson is able to turn but takes it further away from the penalty area. Iceland could easily have increased their lead in the second half. What a chance they had when Haraldsson was through, and could easily have shot himself, but passed to Thor Steinsson, who slipped over. We had the header from Ingerson as well. Great opportunity that. This could actually be much worse for England, and it's Iceland who are having the better spell at the moment after England have made the changes. But Bukayo Saka turns, takes the ball away to the halfway line and wins the throw-in for England.
And they look a little bit sharper than us physically, don't they? Just the movement, when they get those little 1-2s in wide area, the sharpness of the movement, it's just England finding it hard to deal with. And why that is, I'm not too sure, but they look a bit brighter than England at the moment, Iceland, and fresh.
Well, it's been a fraught 24 hours or so for England, and it's become even more fraught with this scoreline. Aberici Eza is going to come on. That's going to be the final change. But the ball is played over the top for Gudjonsson to take it on, but defenders come back, and Alexander-Arnold's able to get a touch on that to sweep it away behind for another Iceland corner. Dion, you're shaking your head?
Yeah, I am, because I was just watching that ball being played through there, and he was way onside. I mean, the back four was kind of all over the place, to be honest with you. He had two defenders inside of Iceland's half, and Trent Alexander was 2 or 3 yards behind, so he's always going to be onside. It's just, I don't know, that balance isn't there.
No. There's a lot of changes happen now, though, Dion, isn't there? You know, when you change that many players, it's hard to keep it on.
Iceland corner to the near post, but that's half-volleyed away by Tony. And then a shot from distance that Ramsdale had to keep out, scrambling back towards his post. He pushed it over. The shot from Finson, the left back, and he had to be sharp there, Ramsdale, but he was. That could have been embarrassing.
Well, it was sharp footwork, wasn't it? I mean, it gets cleared, you think the danger's over, the ball's taken an eternity to come out of the sky, and he just swings a left boot at it, catches it full, but it just kind of loops up in the air, and Ramsdale really has to move his feet to get back to tip that over the crossbar.
Another Iceland corner, 1-0 they lead. Eza waiting to come on. Here is the corner into the near post. England are able to clear it. Tony's in there again with Alexander-Arnold, clears it high into the air, and Foden with a touch miscontrols it out for a throw to Iceland on the left. We'll see the change. It's going to be Palmer who is coming off. There he is, Cole Palmer. Give us an assessment, Dion. How do you feel he's done tonight?
I think he started really well. I think he's had a good 60 minutes, 70 minutes. He's been outstanding, tried to make things happen. It didn't happen for him tonight. I think, to be honest with you, John, I'd love to have seen him with a little bit more time down the left-hand side. I think he might have had a bit more joy. But when it comes to talent and affecting football matches, he's the kind of player we need to be on form when we start this competition.
Well, we saw good things from Eza at St James's Park on Monday night. This is his first England appearance at Wembley, his 4th cap in all. So Eza is on And that's it. Those are the 6 changes for England. Last time England played Iceland in a tournament warm-up match, Sven-Göran Eriksson made 11 substitutions when they beat them 6-1 at the City of Manchester Stadium, as it was called at the time, just before Euro 2004. Wayne Rooney scored a couple of goals that night. He's here this evening. You'll hear him on the BBC over the course of the next month or so. In Germany, coverage across the BBC. But this has been a real hodgepodge for England tonight. England 0, Iceland 1. Scotland winning 2-1. Throw in over there on the left-hand side that Finson is going to take, the left back. Forward it goes and comes off Alexander-Arnold, bounces down. Iceland attacking again down towards the corner flag. It would seem that Mark Gay's okay as England win it back, and Alexander-Arnold plays it up towards Tony, winning his 3rd cap tonight. Again, Iceland on the attack. They're finishing the game much the stronger. And England, after the changes, I have to say, look all over the place.
Yeah, we do. We look really disjointed in all areas of the pitch, if I'm honest. And Iceland taking full advantage of it. They're kind of winning the ball back and then having comfortable possession. They've played forwards early all evening. I will say that. They've not messed about on the ball or got passes out in for the sake of just having possession. There's been a lot of purpose to their play. I mean, whether that's a reflection on how poor England have been or whether they've had a good night, but they look a half-decent team.
They look very fit, I've got to say. They look very, very fit side.
And I think England's opponents in the group, in Germany, Serbia, their coach, Dragan Stojkovic, an old teammate of Chris Waddle's at Marseille, he'll be studying this. Denmark, Slovenia as well. And Iceland are now less than 15 minutes away from another famous win against England. Remember Nice in 2016? There's a yellow card for a free kick that's conceded in centre field for Haraldsson. Yeah, 2016. Any England supporter who was there that night will always remember that with a shiver. I know that was then, but it could be again, as the banner said before the game. But they weren't thinking of that.
I don't think that was the thought process behind it.
It was not. Alexander-Arnold to take this free kick after the foul by Haraldsson. Set piece chance for England. Iceland holding a high line. Alexander-Arnold plays it in, looking for Tony, who gets his head to it but can only head it up over the top on the fall, and it's a goal kick for Iceland.
Yeah, I think he's just off balance there. Tony, about 16, 17 yards out, is pancaked in between 2 players there, just can't get his head on it, he's off balance. But again, you know, Trent Alexander just putting it into a dangerous area. We should have been doing that a lot more in the first half to create more chances. But I think Iceland have really managed this game well. They really have. They've set themselves out with lots of energy. As I mentioned earlier, they'll go forward. If it doesn't work, then they'll get back into their shape. They're not trying to nick the ball high up the park.
And Iceland are going to make the next change, obviously. England have made all of theirs. Rice playing it back towards the edge of the penalty area, and Gay is able to turn it back to Ramsdale. Ramsdale, who's beaten in the 12th minute by that shot from Thorsteinsson. And as we said, Rice now drives the pass forward. This is for his Arsenal clubmate Saka to chase. Finson slides in, puts in the tackle, fouls him. Yellow card, free kick to England on the right.
Yeah, good pace from Saka. Declan Rice sees that space over the far hand side, just puts the ball in there and says, go on, have a go, see if you can get there. And he does, Saka. And it's nice to see an England player with a little bit of a spurt of energy, Dion, if I'm honest. I mean, it's been really flat. We don't look sharp or fit in this game at all. It's been very flat.
No, not compared to this side. They look as though they're getting across the pitch, across the grass. Very simple, lovely ball from Declan Rice though, with his laces on the volley into that area, just in front of Saka. Not 2 Saka, but 4 Saka. Get on that.
On this evidence, England are going to have to put in a great deal of work over the course of the next week.
As much as you, John?
Almost as much. Free kick on the right. Foden and Alexander-Arnold standing either side of the ball. This is just out from the corner of the penalty area, out towards the right wing. Alexander-Arnold plays it, so it's the outswinger. Goalkeeper Valdimarsson comes diving forward, gets a two-handed punch to it on the dive and clears it away towards the halfway line. Into the last 10 minutes now. Long pass from Konza, but Eza has not been able to get into the game yet. And then Johan Berg Gudmundsson, the Burnley man, relegated with Burnley this season. He's had his injury problems, passes it out of play on the halfway line, and he will be moving on from Burnley as well after his 8 seasons there. This would be a great way to finish, if it is a finish in England for him, a victory against England at the National Stadium. Alexander-Arnold curls a pass forward. This is for Saka to chase, but there's too much on that, and it bounces behind for a goal kick.
It's a little bit too deliberate, that one, isn't it? I mean, forcing it now. The fullbacks have been super positioned for Iceland all afternoon or evening, and just trying to force those balls in behind like that. They're just reading it every time, getting the body in, ushering the ball out of play. We've had no joy in that sense in trying to find that play.
I agree, and I think that's down to the organisation of the back four as well, the 2 centre halves, as I mentioned in the first half. They're just so well coached and drilled, and they're not trying to make it difficult for themselves.
But you know, when it gets too late in the game to mix it up, you've got to mix it up at the start and really asking the question, making them uncertain right at the start of the game and challenging them in behind.
No questions being asked in this game.
No, they've just been comfortable.
And that's it, actually. The 2 Iceland changes that have been made. Johan Berg Gudmundsson, the captain, is replaced by Arnór Sigurdsson of Blackburn Rovers, teammate of Adam Wharton's this season, so the number 8 comes on into the midfield, and also Hakon Haraldsson has been substituted, and Isak Bergman Johannesson, the son of Joey Gudjonsson, a former teammate of Dion Dublin's, is on to win his 26th cap in midfield. Time running out for England to get something from this match. Foden, though, to Tony on the left wing. Tony holds off the challenge, left-footed ball across, that's blocked out to the edge of the penalty area in a curling effort from the edge of the box from Kobbie Mainoo. Never threatened the top corner, over the top.
It was on, John. That strike was on from Kobbie Mainoo there, right behind him in our box here, right on the halfway line. As he received it, ricochet off the knees of the right back, and Kobbie Mainoo just trying to leave it in that far corner. Just didn't execute it right, but shooting, at least he's shooting.
I was just about to say, in the first half, he doesn't take that shot.
No.
He has a touch, turns out, finds a little pass, and England go again trotting through patterns of pass, whereas at least he's got it out his feet and had a go. And you can kind of step back and go, well, I'd prefer that. You know, in a realistic situation, you are right, he is capable of hitting the target there. Have a go.
Back to Hampden, Ailey Barber.
Where Finland have just equalised from the penalty spot. Oliver Antman putting it beyond Craig Gordon, and it was Gordon who gave the penalty away, coming out to punch a corner, but instead taking out Thomas Galvez, the young Manchester City Academy player who's looked very lively since coming off the bench. Gordon giving away the penalty, Antman scoring it. Scotland 2, Finland 2.
So things not going to plan for England or Scotland in their final matches before the tournament. Cross from the right-hand side from Saka, but that's over. Everyone in a white shirt in the middle and bounces behind for a goal kick. The crowd, the official attendance has been announced. Not quite the 85,000, 81,410 inside Wembley. And
there's a few going.
Yeah, well, it's been a disappointing night.
Yeah.
I mean, lots of empty red seats appearing around Wembley Stadium. And things, I mean, it was going to be the rousing send-off. It's been so disjointed, so disappointing, and
I think it showed tonight, John, that we have so many good footballers that all want to play in that 10 role in the centre of the pitch, and we haven't had a lot of width.
Here is Eza. Can he provide it? I wonder. Sets off on a run, plays the ball to the left-hand side. Joe Gomez is there. Gomez is crossed deep across the penalty area. Alexander-Arnold arriving, but he's just lifted it right across the box out towards the opposite flank, and it's shepherded out of play for a throw-in for Iceland halfway inside their own half. Gareth Southgate just comes forward and taps the ball down the line so Iceland can take this, but we've got 4 minutes of the 90 to play.
I think it's interesting what Dion just said, because for me, Phil Foden keeps discipline in width better than Palmer.
Yeah, agreed.
Do you not think? I mean, you can tell when he's played there for City, he knows he has to provide that structure, otherwise he won't get picked. And I think Palmer is a little bit more of a maverick that likes to pick up positions and drift in here, there and everywhere. And while I like that, and I think it is creative, it's that balance between the shape and the structure of the team and what is supporting a better goal scoring opportunity, whether or not you keep that width. And I think that's a big kind of thinking point to take away from this game this evening.
More frustration for England as Eza concedes a free kick. Iceland take it square. Iceland continue to lead by 1-0 as the ball bounces out of play from a pass on the halfway line for a throw-in to England. Just over 3 minutes of the 90 to play. England facing the ignominy of what will be only their second defeat in a senior men's international to Iceland, but damagingly so, defeat in their last match before they head to Germany. There is the possibility that this actually could be Gareth Southgate's last match as the England manager on home soil. You know, we'll have to see how things develop over the course of the coming months, but it is a possibility, and not the way that he would have wanted things to pan out this evening, most certainly. Really disappointing. Ball down the right-hand side for Iceland, and it's deflected out. Gudjonsson wins himself a throw-in. 2.5 minutes to go. Iceland parked deep in England territory. Lots of England fans going home early from the National Stadium. There was going to be a big parade around the ground. There was going to be the big hurrah, the big send-off. It is all going to be as flat as a pancake. Throw-in on the right for Iceland. They're taking their time, I don't blame them. Thordarson takes the throw. It's headed to the edge of the area and cleared away by Saka there, but there's no one up for England, and Iceland will just knock the ball all the way back to their goalkeeper Valdimarsson, the Brentford man, keeping a clean sheet here. What a night this will be for Iceland. They're preparing for the Nations League when they'll play a couple of games against Wales in the autumn, and also be interesting to see what they do in the Netherlands this coming week. They've got a match against Netherlands on Monday night in Rotterdam, another one of the Euro finalists. But England now with Rice on the halfway line. Rice puts his foot on the ball, just shovels it forward, takes it on now, drives forward with it, gives it to Eze outside him on the left wing. Eze actually comes back, and then there was the run from Gomez. Rice takes it on, little touch from Menu, now back to Rice. Eze drifts in, the Crystal Palace man, back to Rice, but Iceland have got everyone behind the ball. England trying to find a way through here, almost into the 90th minute of the match. Saka receives her on the right hand side, plays it back in field towards Foden. Foden low and square to Gomez. Gomez back square again. Konsa actually has to just run out towards the far side. It was slightly mispaced, the pass. Alexander-Arnold now on his left foot, back onto his right. Alexander-Arnold's cross towards the back post, takes a double deflection as both Menu and Eze challenge for it, but off the two of them, just bounces through to the goalkeeper.
Pretty much as we've seen all evening, John, to be honest. I mean, England crossing the ball, Trent is on the pitch, so you expect him to put it in with his right foot, but it's more of a hopeful dink to the back post as opposed to picking somebody out with a delivery that you're going to go and score from.
So here's Alexander-Arnold now with 30 seconds of the 90 to play, to Saka. Saka in the full-back position, into the penalty area, shoots across goal. That's blocked by Gretosson. Back out to the far side. Alexander-Arnold again, left-footed ball in. Again, that's headed away. Meat and drink to Iceland. That. England, once again, though, Saka on the right-hand side. Alexander-Arnold once more. But 5 minutes are shown. 5 minutes of added time for England to find a face-saving equaliser. Saka to Rice. Now back out to the right to Alexander-Arnold. More paper planes rain down from the upper tiers of Wembley. Rice curling it into the back post. Toney gets his head to it. Not scored in his last 12 appearances for Brentford, Ivan Toney. Then back centrally, where it's played square by Gay to Rice. Rice running towards the edge of the box. Rice has passed to Foden. Foden, all action. Alexander-Arnold's low ball across, but Gretosson is there again, just to side-foot it away.
Well, they've been there all evening. Two Icelandic centre-backs have just been superb. The whole team has, in terms of discipline, their positioning. Nobody has put a foot wrong in their back line or midfield in terms of leaving a space or not having the right angle to show a player where they want to show them. They've been so disciplined.
Rice turns the ball out again to the right-hand side to Saka. Saka, who's up against Finson. Square to Foden. Foden's little ball to Rice on the edge of the area, scoops it forward. Saka just gets there but has to volley it back across the penalty area. Gomez challenges for it, still in the area. Goalkeeper comes through it, doesn't make it, and the ball is mishit by Menu on the bounce, right across through a crowd of players and out of play for a goal kick to Iceland.
Well, the first little bit of panic I've seen from the Icelandic defence, and it was the goalkeeper, Valdimarsson, just gets a little bit ruffled here. I think it's offside in that build-up, possibly where Saka pulls it back, but as the header comes back in, he just goes chasing for the ball, can't quite get there, doesn't get a clean fist on it, and it just drops to the feet of Mainu, who scuffs it wide anyway.
Well, Germany were losing in Mönchengladbach, but now they're winning. They've come from a goal down, 2-1 up on Greece, and it's Pascal Gross of Brighton who scored the second goal. So Havertz and Gross. This time next week, Germany against Scotland will be coming to a conclusion. You'll hear it with us on 5 Live. Pat Nevin and Chris Sutton with Alistair Bruce Ball for the first match, and then every match covered. Here's Alexander-Arnold for England down the right-hand side. Then a low ball into the penalty area for Saka, and across comes the covering challenge to sweep it out of play from Finson, the left back, out for a throw. Iceland going to make another change. Fredriksson is going to come on. England take the throw quickly. Ball in from Alexander-Arnold, cleared away again, just out of play on the far side. And I think we might see that change. Yep, the referee saying, hang on, England. We're going to see the next Icelandic substitution. So the right back, Fredriksson, late call up to this squad, is going to come on for the goal scorer. John Dagur Thorsteinsson will leave the pitch on the far side, and on comes Fredriksson. More boos from the stands. This is not how it was supposed to be tonight for Gareth Southgate and his team. 1-0 down to Iceland in added time. People have gone home early. The stadium has been very quiet this evening, and England have put together a rusty and disjointed performance, and they're losing to Iceland. But Eze with the cross now from the left-hand side. That's gone all the way out to the right. Alexander-Arnold now. England are pinning Iceland back now, but there's no immediate sign of a breakthrough. Foden again turns, plays it back, but that pass is short and it's intercepted, and Fredriksson gets his first touch to put it out for a throw again.
He's had a difficult evening, Foden, hasn't he? He's not quite been in the position that you'd expect him in terms of he's given the ball away a lot and not really created much at all for England.
Gay to Eza trying to wriggle through, pass back from Foden. Eza central area just outside the D. Rice rolls the pass into the path of Alexander-Arnold. Alexander-Arnold now low ball right across goal, and it takes a deflection. Defender dived in, goalkeeper diving down to his right. I think it came off the defender, which took it beyond the far post for a corner.
Yeah, it was a bit of a nick off an Icelandic defender as the ball goes agonisingly across the whole 6-yard box and just wide of the far post. There's a little touch on it as well on the way through.
Last minute of added time. If it's going to come, it's got to come now for England. Alexander-Arnold with the corner to deep to the back post. Defender gets his head to it, comes out. Gomez with a shot, but miscued, way off target. That's behind, and I think that might be just about it.
I think you're probably right, John. Tough chance for Gomez. Fell to him on the edge on the full volley. Not easy to keep your composure and get that one on target. But England haven't really deserved it, have they, in terms of general play and how we've moved the ball.
Just as Iceland had in the second half. It could easily be worse than this.
Just haven't deserved it at all.
Goal kick downfield, bounces forward. Rice is there, but Iceland's still in possession. Here's Gudjonsson on the right-hand side, loses out to Eza. This will be the last attack of the match. England coming forward with Tony, who's just eased over. That's a free kick. And now it depends how much Davide Massa, the Italian referee, is going to add on, and whether he's going to... England have got this free kick, whether he's going to allow this next attack to develop. Otherwise, England are going to go to Germany, having lost at home to Iceland. And there it is. There is the final whistle. And boos ring out at the Wembley Stadium. Gareth Southgate walks across and shakes hands with Åge Hareide, the 70-year-old coach of Iceland, who's seen his team win at Wembley against England for the first time. Iceland have come back to haunt England 8 years after Nice. They've done it again, and what a nightmare for England this has been this evening, to lose here to the team that's ranked 72 in the world. And this is certainly not the send-off that Gareth Southgate and England were hoping for tonight before they go to Germany on Monday.
What a tough watch that was. I mean, it was not a pleasant watch. Going into a major tournament, you wanted to see a certain level a certain criteria of things in the team, even if they didn't play that well or had an off night, that's absolutely fine. But what's been delivered there was really, really flat, disjointed. It didn't have any directness or kind of personality to it, Dion. It didn't have the character at all, did it? It just was so flat from England. Really disappointing.
Yeah, so history here tonight, but not the sort of history that England were hoping for. No way. They've lost to Iceland at home for the first time. Iceland's players down there in blue, celebrating famous victory, and they go across to their little section where 560 Iceland fans are celebrating. But around the rest of Wembley Stadium, I'm not sure what England are going to do now. There was going to be a big wave and a send-off to Germany. I mean, they are gathering out on the pitch, but I mean, the stands are mainly empty all around Wembley Stadium, apart from that little knot of Iceland fans. So there we are. Thor Steinsson's early goal in the 12th minute has won it for Iceland. England 0, Iceland 1, and England have got a lot of hard work to do before Serbia in Gelsenkirchen in 9 days' time from now.
John, thank you. Our debrief begins imminently at 5 Live Sport on Twitter if you want to have your say. But first, let's go and find out how it ended at Hampden. Ellie.
Well, not the send-off Scotland were looking for either, as they let a 2-goal lead here slip. Andy Robertson with 2 assists. The first inadvertently knocked past his own goalkeeper by Hoskinen. The second, a few minutes later, by the head of Lawrence Shankland. Craig Gordon came on for his 75th cap, but was beaten by a good Ben Kalman header before giving away a penalty, which Oliver Antman equalised from. It was a game that felt very much like a friendly. It didn't ever really burst into life, but there were positives. The performance of Anthony Ralston down the right, that goal from Lawrence Shankland, and lively performances from the bench too for recently called up Lewis Morgan and Tommy Conway making his full international debut and denied a last minute winner by a really good save. Ultimately though, there is a feeling much more will be required to take anything from that curtain raiser against the hosts Germany in Munich a week tonight. It finished at Hampden, Scotland 2, Finland 2.
A last minute goal from Pascal Gross has given Germany a 2-1 win over Greece in Mönchengladbach. However, we focus on a poor performance, a disappointing evening for England here at Wembley, where Gareth Southgate's side's preparations for Euro 2024 ended on a sour note with a 1-0 defeat to Iceland at Wembley. England go into the tournament having won just one of their last 5 matches. I'm joined by senior football reporter Ian Dennis, former West Ham defender Matt Upson, and former Aston Villa striker Dion Dublin. Dion, it's the ghost of Euros past, isn't it? Not quite in the tournament.
Absolutely.
But what a...
Just off it, Aaron. So, they were off it tonight. I mean, Matt's mentioned it as well, but they just seemed off it. I don't know if they came into this game with a little bit of expectation, as in, this is Iceland, we should really beat these, we're at home. But, you know, I didn't see it in the body language, but I didn't see any, not togetherness, but I didn't see any partnerships working. I don't know what it was tonight. Iceland were better. They were better when they had the ball. They had less of the ball. They were more dynamic. They looked fitter. They looked like they wanted to get around the England players and force them to play passes they didn't want to play and make it uncomfortable for England when they had the ball. When they didn't, they just got back into such a good shape and stayed disciplined, made it hard for England. They deserved the win.
I just want to comment on these live scenes we're seeing, Ian, because John talked about a big send-off and England getting a rousing reception as they leave for Germany, but that was a trudge round the Wembley pitch, and I don't even think it was the full Wembley pitch. They kind of stayed inside the middle section of the pitch and just did a bit of a mini circle.
Well, they were hoping for a big send-off, that a crowd of over 81,000 inside Wembley, and by the time that they're trudging around the pitch, it's a bit of a damp squib. You know, they're doing it to a lot of empty red seats, not the fanfare that would have been anticipated by the FA. But then you can't blame the supporters for wanting to leave early, because that performance and that display certainly wasn't one that many would have envisaged, not even Gareth Southgate coming into this game. Bearing in mind as well that the starting 11, he made 8 changes from the game against Bosnia. 7 of the starting 11 you'd expect to feature in that opening game against Serbia in Gelsenkirchen on the 16th. And just to reiterate, that is the first time in 56 years that England have lost their final match going into a major tournament since going into the Euros of 1968. So, it's the first defeat in 21 games going into a major tournament. So, uncharted territory.
Matty, we talked earlier on about the defence, the England defence, and how concerned we were, and we will come on to the goal in a minute. But there are issues being highlighted everywhere, and I mean, I don't even know where to start with this, but looking at Iceland, they showed England how to defend. But on the flip side, you can also say England struggled to break down a side that was compact, that was organised, that was disciplined, and I think it was you made the point, they look so fit, don't they?
But I think the best, because there's so much to dissect, I think the best thing to look at sometimes is that simplicity is class. Like, the simpler you can do something efficiently and well, generally, that's the best way forward. Iceland did that today in their defending and their attacking play. We were the complete opposite, to me, how it looked. I wasn't quite sure what the plan was. It was a lot of really highly talented players that technically are amazing, kind of all together doing their thing. And it was just, it played into the hands of how Iceland wanted to defend, really compact, narrow. We had no width. There was no punch or directness or aggression of physicality in the play. And it was actually really quite dismal. It was a bit boring, wasn't it, to watch?
Dion, when you see Cole Palmer round the goalkeeper when it's easier just to dig the ball over, as a former forward, it must make your teeth itch.
Yeah, it does, because, I'm especially the one that was actually played in for Kane, and then he gambled just in case Kane didn't get it, and his gamble paid off. He got himself one-on-one, and he's now just touched the ball in the middle of the D, edge of the Iceland box, and I'm thinking, one-on-one, control it with your right, finish with your left. He takes another one with his left, another one with his left. The angle's gone. The keeper stayed on his feet. The keeper's done incredibly well. I did say in comms as well, if there's a half chance to be had, take it. Don't try and create the easy full chance. They very rarely come along. And he missed that chance. And I was expecting him to score, because he normally does.
Ian, if we can pick any positives, Cole Palmer's performance was encouraging in spells, as was Trent Alexander-Arnold's.
Yeah, I think Cole Palmer, we were discussing off air at half-time, myself and Matt, and just saying that maybe he's forcing himself into contention to start the game against Serbia, because, Pickford will be back in goal. Bellingham, who links up with the squad on Saturday, will automatically come in. Saka's come off the bench as well, so he's got valuable match minutes. You'd think Saka would start, and then you're looking at another to slot into the midfield. So if he goes with a Foden, Saka and Kane, does he then go Palmer and leave Bellingham and Rice in the midfield? It's always been a question of Declan Rice with who.
My problem is that we're even having this conversation so close to the start of a major tournament. That's the bit that I find difficult, because the options are so many, but we haven't actually nailed down consistently how this group operates together in that way. Do you know what I mean? So it's now a little bit like, well, let's go with this one for the first game and see how it goes. And I'm not too keen on that going. I like the discipline, or even playing the same play. And I know he hasn't been able to do that, Gareth, in fairness to him, because obviously Bellingham's not been here for these two games, and loads of different things. So that it's riddled with difficulties on his end. So it's not all about what team he's playing, but that consistency, Dion, as a player, when you knew what your teammate did and what they liked and what they didn't like, what they were capable of. I don't think this team's, attacking wise, we're still kind of learning that, and maybe we'll learn it into the tournament and it will click and it will happen. But at the moment, it's looking like that needs to happen.
Yeah, and when you watch a performance like that tonight, you actually think to yourself, is this the majority of the starting lineup? Because none of them really had a good game. So nobody really stood out. Cole Palmer had a good 60 minutes or so, and then he kind of tried to do too much. Trent came on and did exactly what we wanted Cole Palmer to do in the first half, which was cross it. Saka came on and he was positive, but there's not really one player out there tonight in an England shirt that will say, right, I've done my bit, I've got my shirt.
With Palmer, you have to accept that he's going to drift. I think I've come that from that. He's not going to be one of those who's going to stay on the touchline, Dino. So does he have to play in the middle, Cole Palmer?
Well, that's it, because I was having this conversation with Declan Rice yesterday about that. Gareth Southgate's always said it's Declan Rice with who. And in the past, you've talked about either maybe a Mainu or an Alexander-Arnold to be that, if you're going to use the word, as a double pivot.
Yeah.
and then with Rice, because Rice says he prefers to play the 6 role. That's where he told me yesterday that's where he gets the confidence from. But then where's Bellingham going to go, because Foden wants to play in the 10?
Yeah.
So do you play the 2 in the midfield as a Rice and a Bellingham, and then do you have Palmer, Foden, Saka behind Harry Kane?
It's such a conundrum, because there's such an embarrassment of riches with regards to what England have in the final third. And on one hand, if Gareth Southgate turns around to him and says, keep it simple, just do the basics and let's go, people will turn around and say, well, you're not using them to their full potential. On the flip side, we've seen examples tonight of players doing their own thing and playing more like individuals rather than a cohesive unit, which again, 9 days away from a major tournament is concerning.
Yeah, it is, but not many of these players have played together in this shape and style and personnel before. So how do you know unless you put it out there? And like I said, we're very late in the day to be experimenting, and a lot of it isn't down to the manager not picking. He hasn't had players available to pick, or not been able to pick, or Bellingham's not been here. But I with Deno's point, I would probably go with Bellingham as a midfield player next to Declan Rice, because I think he can do that equally as well as a number 10. Yes, he's shone as a number 10 this season and been banging in goals and at Real Madrid and won a Champions League, and to not play him in that role might seem a bit crazy. But for England at the moment, right now, looking at today's performance, I think he could fit into that because he's so capable of doing that role.
I actually think this is going to be a blessing in disguise, and this is going to sound a really perverse comment, because it does feel a little bit flat after the performance that we've watched. But if England had have knocked Iceland out of the park and had won 4-0, you might not have learnt a great deal. I think you'll as a manager, you'll learn more in adversity and from a defeat than you will from a comprehensive victory.
We shouldn't be learning tonight, should we?
No, but my point being is that this is the template of how to play against England, as Iceland did. You soak up the possession and you hit on the counter-attack. We saw how Hungary did it to good effect at Molineux 2 years ago, and I'm sure that certainly Serbia and Slovenia will do exactly the same.
Yeah.
They'll try to be compact and then strike on the break. So therefore, England have got to guard against that, because they were almost caught out second half as well.
Is there not a concern that they're not adaptable enough to realise what is going on? Surely Gareth Southgate's bringing them in at half-time and going, well, they're going to try and counter, they're going to try and pop it over the top. As you're about to say, there are enough times where Iceland had the opportunity to close in and potentially bag a second or a third.
You know what, I think with what Matty said is a great point about Palmer, allowing him to do what he does off the right, let him come and drift and do what he wants. However, you've got to have players in and around Cole Palmer that know that he's going to do that in order to fill his position, so we still have the balance and the shape. We didn't have any balance and shape tonight. We have got, in my opinion, the best squad of players in world football right now. I think we have incredible talent. But off tonight's performance, I'm thinking, well, who plays where? And who's going to play in that 10? Who's going to play on the right-hand side? Because nobody's really stood out.
My point is, it's better to have the reality check now rather than have the reality checking Gelsenkirchen and losing to Serbia.
No, I agree with that. I do agree with that. But I think keeping it simple, for me, with this group of players is the key, because when you're as talented as what they are, you just need that simple clarity of what direction are we. Yep, okay, I'll go and do my thing, but this is the framework, this is the direction we're going in.
Anthony Gordon has spoken to Channel 4 this evening. He says it didn't go the way we wanted. We had a bit of a lack of quality in the final third. I mean, England had 68% possession, but one shot on target in comparison to Iceland's 4. And just watching it, I mean, there were so many lateral passes, so many square balls, so many players trying to pick out the perfect pass, when in reality the crowd want them to shoot, and sometimes you just want to scream shoot from this commentary box.
You do, I mean, but I think you have to set the tone early on with that, and I think you have to mix up your play. And we started okay, if I'm honest. When I cast my mind back to the first 5-6 minutes or so, we looked pretty good. We got down the sides a little bit, and then it just kind of clogged up, and then Iceland scored, and then we just didn't really get into a rhythm, and we were trying to be too intricate and maybe trying to do too much, a little bit of that. So, trying too hard in that sense. But, it wasn't that relaxed performance where players really showcased that they were calm and the quality came out. Like what Anthony Gordon said, that the quality level in that final third was at a real low point.
And we know that England struggle with tonight's kind of game, where you go and you get a side, they sit in a 5-4-1, and they allow you to have the width. They'll give you the width. If you try and play through us, then there's no way through, because we are happy and we know that you're going to try and do that. Have the width, and if you get the width and you cross it, we'll back ourselves to defend. England didn't take the width. When they did that one chance, Anthony Gordon gets in, pulls it back for Foden. That's basically one of the best chances we had through getting in behind. Didn't do enough of it.
Do we lack a bit more of a presence in the final third because Harry Kane was dropping deep? He was playing those beautiful passes early on, and of course he's coming back from injury as well.
Yeah, listen, this is all hindsight. We're chatting all hindsight now. We're trying to debrief with this game. From what I've seen tonight, if Cole Palmer plays on the left and Anthony Gordon plays on the right, we would score tonight, because what we're doing is we're going down the left, chopping, coming inside on my good foot and keeping it in the middle of the park. And Iceland are going, that'll do me. Fine. We'll just stay in our shape.
I don't think it mattered whether or not Kane was deep in the first half, because the ball never came in the box. So whether or not he dropped deep and passed it wide, nobody ever crossed it. So it was all that, what Dion was saying, coming inside. Where's the pass? Where's the 1-2? Where's the intricate, can I feed it in there and then let it go through my legs, and then somebody will get it behind me? And if that comes off, you're going to applaud it and go, that's a brilliant goal. And we are capable of scoring goals like that. But the Icelandic defence were just... They were on it. They were measured. They were concentrated. They were focused. They didn't let anything slide by them. And you're going to play against teams with that kind of rugged quality, and you have to have sometimes a little bit of a mix-up to break them down.
Bjarkason, the right back, was
brilliant
all night.
His positioning was superb.
Speaking of defences, how concerning is the situation with John Stones taken off midway through the game? But I mean, Lewis Dunk not involved. He goes back into training on Monday. It's another defensive issue for England.
Well, did you see the look on Gareth's face, Deno, when he was talking to Steve Holland there? You could tell they were discussing, almost in disbelief, weren't they?
Yeah, I'm sure John will ask Gareth about that at the end. I mean, the thing is, the reality of the situation is, Aaron, is that they've got 24 hours before the opening game. So effectively, Jarrell Quansah is on standby. He's still he was on the bench tonight. Gareth Southgate said he was on standby ahead of this game, but you've got 24 hours to call up a player ahead of, an outfield player ahead of the game. So if there is an issue with Stones, even if we don't know about it today, even in the build-up, up until the 15th, they can still call up a replacement. But Ngay got a blow to the head. As you say, Dunk will return to training next week, but the defence is a real concern.
It was hard to tell if Stones was okay. I mean, I'm not saying he's not okay, but it was the first 30 seconds of the game that he hurt his ankle, and then he just didn't seem to be able to deal with that one-on-one particularly well, whether or not he was conscious of it or not, but we'll have to wait and see.
When you do have those kind of niggly injuries that just seem to hinder your performance just enough that us old pros can see that you're not quite right and you're not moving how you want to move, and consciously as well, subconsciously, sorry, that you're thinking in your mind, I'm not going to twist that way or twist that way just in case I hinder myself going to this major tournament. So I think there was a couple of players. Trippier didn't seem quite on it as well. Listen, once we get them right, they'll be the best in those positions for us. Tonight they were just off it, maybe just protecting an injury.
How concerned are you going into the tournament, Matt? I mean, Ian alluded to it and said, look, it's better it happens out of tournament and now rather than in Germany in 9 days' time. But that performance was,
it was,
Yeah.
It was,
yeah. Let's just say yeah.
I mean, we've gone into tournaments in sparkling form before, and it's not gone well. So can you really?
This is it. Then,
can
Matt,
you really? Exactly. Can you really genuinely look at it and go, well, in order to do well and go and win a Euros, you have to be playing as well as this in the 4 or 5 games building up to it? No, you don't. So, am I worried about it? Yes, there's concerns, and I'm interested to see how it unfolds and how we start the tournament. But really, it's not really a marker of whether or not you're going to go on to win it, is it?
It's not concerning. I wouldn't say it's concerning. I'm disappointed with the performance, but I'm not concerned.
I'll tell you what, let's head straight down to the tunnel because we find our football correspondent John Murray there with someone, John?
Yeah, it's Anthony Gordon of Newcastle United who was first out to try and explain that away. Anthony, it wasn't supposed to happen like that, was it?
No, definitely not. I think, friendly or not, playing for England, you want to win every single game. I thought it was useful practice for us, though, in terms of the pitches we will see during the tournament. Trying to break down that low block type of team. Thought we controlled the game and got into some good positions, but just a lack of quality around the final third.
Yeah, was it rustiness? I mean, it seemed disjointed, and I know that there are a lot of players who are at different places in terms of minutes, and you yourself have had an injury this week.
Yeah, I think for me personally, I've trained once in 4 weeks, so I felt a little bit rusty. But I think that the front 4 or 3 haven't played together yet, I would say. So it's just getting used to each other's movements and what we like to do. And the more time we train together while we're out there and going into the games, we'll be fine.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's 9 days, isn't it? I mean, should England fans be worried?
No, definitely not worried. Good players make it click, good players make it happen. We just need, like I said, we need time to train together, and in a tournament it will happen.
So that's focused the minds on how hard you're going to have to work over the course of the next week, yeah?
Yeah, always. We're always going to work hard, we're always going to prepare as much as we can. And like I said, that game will do us some good. We've seen a couple of pitches there which caused us some problems, so we get to go away now with some time and look at why it causes problems and how we can do better.
And I know we'll hear from Gareth Southgate shortly, but I know people will be wanting to know what's the news on John Stones? Have you any idea, having to go off at half time?
I haven't got a clue. I was a bit worried when he went down, obviously being such an important figure on and off the pitch, that when he went down I was a bit scared, but I haven't seen him just yet, so it'd be probably a bit unfair for me to make any comment on that right now.
Okay, so I mean, just to sum it up, the quite obvious question is it going to be all right on the night?
I think so. I think we've got enough players, enough camaraderie around the group. We're very together. I think that helps in tournaments. And like I said before, good players make it happen. Good players create magic, and that's what we'll do.
Thanks, Anthony. Thanks for coming over. Anthony Gordon, Aaron.
John, thank you. More reaction to England's defeat to Iceland on the Football Daily podcast. That'll be available on BBC Sounds a little bit later on. We'll also hear from the England manager, Gareth Southgate. Matt, Dion, just your final thoughts after a dismal performance from the Three Lions.
I think, Aaron, I'm more intrigued than ever to see how this tournament's going to go in Germany. I'm looking forward to it. I don't think you can be too negative on something like this, but I'm really intrigued to see how England come back from this, get together, and how they perform out there. That's the only thing that really matters right now.
Well, I'm putting it down to an off night. England will be all right. John on the night.
I'll take that. Matt, Dion, thank you for your company. That's it for 5 Live Sport this evening. Coverage of the Men's T20 World Cup continues throughout the night.